Hello there, my name is Lamin Jai. Wherever you are watching us from, this is News Review, and thank you very much for joining us. Coming up today, America has announced the designation of former President Jammeh's wife, Zainab Suma Jammeh. Days to the end of the curfew, we ask Gambians if they want another extension. These and more coming up, but also my big guest today is the former Deputy Ambassador of the Gambia to the United Nations, Samsudin Sarr. He's a security analyst, someone who was a former military officer. He's my guest today, big guest. But before all of that, we will look at what the papers are saying. We have the point. I also have Foraya today. The point lead story is saying that draft constitution tabled before deputies. Also, Bachelet's trial progresses as defense challenges witness. Bathurst oldest well dug in 1820. Honorable Salah France as National Assembly impedes journalist. Let's see what the stories are saying in detail. The draft constitution of the Gambia was tabled before members of the National Assembly by the Minister of Justice, Dr. Dauda Jallow for the first reading at the chambers in Banjul on Monday. The event also marked the beginning of the third session of the National Assembly sittings this year. Also on the point, Bachelet trial progresses as defense challenges witness. The criminal case involving Musa Yali Bachelet, the Secretary General of Gambia Action Party, GAP, was charged with obtaining money by false pretense, proceeded on the 8th of September 2020 before Principal Magistrate Aissatou Jammeh of the Kanifing Magistrates Court. Fadu Mataboy, the complainant who had earlier testified against the accused, was cross-examined by the Defense Counsel, Mr. Kijera, to discredit her. Bathurst oldest well dug in 1820 there, one of the Gambia's heritages that was left behind by the British and is still visible and useful till date, is a well sunk in Bathurst in 1820. This well, which can be found in the garden in the front of the Gambia National Museum at the National Center for Arts and Culture, NCAC premises, remains the oldest well in the capital city, Banjul there. Honorable Salah France as National Assembly impedes journalist. The National Assembly member for Serekunda, Honorable Arifa Salah, has expressed his dissatisfaction over the National Assembly's action of not allowing access to some journalists to cover the tabling of the draft constitution, saying the act could put the integrity of the parliament at stake. The point is also reporting that the Senegalese Minister of Health yesterday reported 26 new cases of COVID-19, bringing the country's total number of infections to 14,306. Let's see what the Forea newspaper is saying. MP for Serekunda reacts to Parliament's decision to bar journalists from covering parliamentary proceeding. That's also captured by the point there. Coronavirus hits Senegalese troops deployed to the Gambia. Officers at Serekunda police station appeal for sanitary materials to curb coronavirus. So on the Forea newspaper, they are reporting that scores of Senegalese soldiers deployed to the neighboring, that's the Gambia, have tested positive for coronavirus, a Senegalese army official said on Thursday. Also on Forea, there, police officers at the Serekunda police station have on Friday called on authorities to provide them with sanitary materials amid the coronavirus pandemic. I think that's that for the newspapers. We will take a quick break and we will be right back. Now, the United States government has announced the designation of Zainab Suma Jammeh, that's the wife of the former President Jammeh, there over support she accorded the former president. The nation's ex-leader, really, who was in fact designated himself in 2018, over his involvement in corruption. More in this report. Zainab, who has been married to the former leader for over 20 years, is designated for having materially assisted, sponsored, or provided financial, material, or technological support for or goods or services to or in support of Jammeh, the U.S. government said on Tuesday. Her designation was announced by the U.S. Department of the Treasury, and it came alongside the designation of NABA Limited, NABA, a company in UK. According to the U.S. Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, Zainab has reportedly been instrumental in aiding and abetting Jammeh's economic crimes against the country, and despite numerous calls for Zainab to intervene, has turned a blind eye to Jammeh's human rights abuses. Zainab is also believed to be in charge of most of Jammeh's assets around the world and utilized a charitable foundation as cover to facilitate the illicit transfer of funds to her husband. The Department of Justice filed a civil forfeiture complaint on July 15, 2020, seeking the forfeiture of a Maryland property acquired with approximately $3,500,000 US in corruption proceeds by Jammeh through a trust set up by his wife Zainab. A press release on U.S. Department of Treasury website said, OFAC designated Zainab Jammeh and NABA Limited pursuant to Executive Order EO 13818, which builds upon and implements the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act and targets perpetrators of serious human rights abuse and corruption, according to the press release. Bad actors rely on their networks and front companies to evade sanctions and conceal their illicit activities, said Deputy Secretary Justin G. Muzinich, according to the press release. He added, "We'll continue to use our authorities to prevent such illicit funds from moving freely through the international financial system." So that is the latest development coming out from the U.S. We have just received information, or the United States government has just announced that the wife of the former President Jammeh has been slapped with new sanctions. She has been designated over her role in materially assisting the former president in his corruption. That is Zainab Suma Jammeh, the wife of the former president. So I will speak with the Deputy Chief of Mission at the U.S. Embassy, really to give us some context as to this development. The Deputy Chief of Mission joins me now, Shelley Shiva. Madam Deputy Chief of Mission, thank you for speaking to the FATU Network.
It's absolutely my pleasure to speak with you today and to all your viewers.
Great. So first things first, let us try to put this into context. For the umpteenth time, your government is coming after former president and his associate family members, if you like. We have seen your government designate the former president himself, but not just that. We have seen what your government has done in terms of going after the mansion that the former president bought in your country. Now today, his wife is being, designated over support or assistance she gave to her husband in his corrupt ways or behavior, if you like. Give us first one. What I want to ask you is, how did you arrive at this move, this decision to designate the former president's wife?
Sure. So this designation shows the partnership that the United States government has with the current Gambian government, and that we believe that those who have committed economic crimes and have engaged in corruption should be designated. We've already designated the former president, and it is very clear that his wife, Zainab Jammeh, has been very much involved in assisting with corruption and utilizing ill-gotten gains across the world, including in the United States. By designating her under this Treasury designation, we stop individuals from engaging with her in any sort of economic engagement, and it also helps us to further investigate and prevent sale or movement of economic assets in the United States, to include the mansion.
So if anything, if investigations, local investigations are anything to go by in the Gambia, we have seen this new government, the President Adam Barrow government, coming up with investigations. The Jammeh Commission, which investigated the financial assets and business dealings of the former president uncovered massive corruption on the part of the former leader there. But the timing of your sanctions, really going after the former president, one might be tempted to ask or to say that America could have done much more when the former leader was president to ensure that he lived by the rules there.
So we certainly engaged with the international community at the time when Jammeh was president, and we used a very wide variety of tools in order to stop individuals and try to prevent individuals from engaging in corrupt practices. And some of those were possible at the time of the Jammeh regime, but additional investigation has been necessary. We're now able to use that information in order to continue to stop the corrupt practices that are going on at this time.
So now, also, what are the lessons there to learn for our current dispensation? Because you have this new dispensation, and there is a lot of issues that are being, said about the new dispensation, in as much as it is going after the former regime for corrupt practices. This our new government is also being accused of corruptions here and there, pockets, if you like. What are the lessons there to learn?
Well, what's to learn is that it's important in this case that individuals not engage in corruption on their own. And that's why we designated the former president's wife, because it's clear that others have engaged together with corruption. And so that's the first there. In general, it's important for all members of society to play a role in engaging with the government. That includes civil society, the parliament, and all entities of the government to ensure that governing individuals follow proper procedures and don't engage in corruption. That can be done through checks and balances and by engagement with civil society.
So, but also, let this move there by your government, what we have also seen that is that the former president supporters, some of them have really come out to criticize this move, really, to say that America does not have the moral authority, really, to go after anybody, because your country also has its buts. What do you have to say about that?
So in this case, we certainly have the authority to designate the Jammeh family, as we are focused on assets that move through and are located in the United States. We work together with many different agencies, organizations, and international platforms to focus on corruption all around the world. In the United States, our civil society is very much engaged and involved. Freedom of the press is important. And as we see in the United States and throughout the networks, and journalists play a critical role in investigating possible allegations of corruption. So it really takes many different facets to watch. In this case, we've done extensive research to ensure that it is accurate and correct. Coup is actually designated by the Treasury Department of the United States, and the evidence has been clear that former President Jammeh's wife was very much involved in corrupt practices, stealing from the Gambian people.
So what would you expect the Gambian society to really do in terms of this development? What would you expect? How would your country expect the Gambia to react to this move there, finally?
We feel that this is a very positive move, and it simply adds to what the Gambian government has achieved in researching the corruption of the previous regime. That includes the work of the Jammeh Commission. We've seen some of that come out throughout the TRRC process. And we believe that this Treasury designation simply complements the research that the Gambian people and Gambian government has done to uncover the vast wide network of corruption that took place under the previous regime.
Madam Deputy Chief of Mission, do you have any other thing to say?
I very much thank you for inviting me today, and I want to just underscore the great cooperation that the United States government has with the Gambian government. This includes individuals from our Justice Department, Treasury Department, and other departments that work together with their Gambian counterparts to investigate what human rights abuses and corrupt abuses have taken place under the Jammeh regime, how those might be addressed, and positive steps moving forward.
Madam Deputy Chief of Mission, thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated, really.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye. Thank you. That's the Deputy Chief of Mission of the United States at their embassy in Banjul speaking to me there over the designation of Zainab Suman Jammeh, the wife of the former president there, over her role in assisting the former president in his corruption there. So we'll be right back. So
Tough Africa Global presents the new Tulip Gardens. Tough Tulip Gardens is set to comprise service plots in sizes ranging from 220 to 570 meters square. Deposit as low as $83,600 is only an 18-month interest-free payment plan with only 20% deposit on the service plots. Please contact 376-2333 or 776-2333. Free. Tough Africa.
Thank you. So now my big guest joins me, Samsudin Sarr, former Deputy Ambassador of the Gambia to the United Nations. Mr. Sarr, thank you for accepting our invitation to appear on the News Review show.
Okay, thank you very much, Lami. Yeah, it was a prompt one, but I thought, you know, I could do it. So thank you for inviting me, and let's roll.
I always call you the energetic writer, but before we get into all of that, I want you to, because this development there, it just came out this afternoon.
Yes,
the U.S. government designating the wife of the former president there. Give us your opinion about this.
Yeah, apparently you would expect this because you would hope that perhaps when this was happening, you know, when Jammeh was in power, the U.S. government should have at that time called him for his wrong activities, but they did not. And perhaps they are also looking at something that is similarly going wrong in this current government, but they will not say anything until perhaps the government fails. So, you know, these policies, Western countries, they associate with success and reject failure. So any government that comes into power, they will promote everything. You saw Barack Obama and Jammeh hugging and laughing at the State House together with Zainab. They never said anything. During the Iraq war, you know, Gambia was one of those countries designated for interviewing terrorists, arresting them and bringing them here for interrogation. And Gambia was very cooperative with the U.S. government. And it was hailed as one of the most cooperative African countries at the time when most Gambians were calling Gambia a dictatorship, a tyrannical country, and so on. But they never said anything. So, you know, like, they just flow with the wave. You know, the wave now is, this will sound very pleasant to the government when they come and say this. What I don't understand is why forfeiture of his properties? Why don't you say we're going to take the properties he owned in Washington, get the money, and return it to the Gambia? But forfeiture means they probably are going to keep the money. So you see, I don't take them now. You know, you look at the corruption in Africa. This is across the Western world. The corruption in Africa is very rampant among politicians. I just read this morning that Ouattara, of all people, has been exposed by financial gurus in France for embezzling over 9 billion euros. And probably that money is stashed in a bank in France. But he is a hero now. But the day he gets out of power, probably all his account is going to be frozen on these conditions. Oh, he was corrupt. He looted the country. He was helped by this guy. He was helped by that guy. So we are keeping this money. It happened to Abacha. It happened to Mobutu. It happened to Bukasa. Bukasa used to give President Giscard d'Estaing, yes, when he was foreign minister, diamonds. And he will celebrate it. Until he became president, that is when Bukasa was removed out of power. And Bukasa tried to return to France thinking that he has some mansions and treasure that he was going to inherit and enjoy his life. They say, you don't even come into France. You were corrupt, you were this, you were that. And he exposed Giscard d'Estaing, and he even lost his presidency. So you see, this is a pattern. I am not surprised by this. The day Barrow walks out of this, well, probably they will start investigating Fatoumata Barrow.
Because this was one of the questions I asked the top U.S. diplomat there, and she did indicate that, really, to be fair to the U.S. government, she did indicate that they worked, while Jammeh was in power, they worked with, civil society, and they were engaged in this campaign to make sure that the former president really lives by the rules. What do you have to say about that? They work with, myself, I was a journalist and I was aware of annually America would publish a report where they would name and shame governments, really, over the corrupt and human rights, violations that they...
This is their international obligation as, like, say, the example of democracy in the world. This is what is expected of America. But but is America that really pure and clean about pursuing democratic regimes and or democratic tendencies? Like we see what's happening in China. China, they are persecuting the Uyghur Muslims in millions. Who talk about it? They only talk about it when it affects their economic interests. We see Trump, with black, he doesn't even, Black Lives Matter and all those things. You see how they brutalize black African Americans in America and all that. To them, these are normal things. They don't want to admit the fact that the system is even rigged to favor certain race or certain people and not them. So, as I said, politics, especially the international level of politics, they will drag us into this because we all succumb to what they say. We accept what they say. We don't even scrutinize them because they have always controlled the narrative. But, the narrative doesn't suit us right. Look at what is happening in Africa today with this pandemic. They talk about, in America, the underprivileged, the poor black people, we are the most affected. They died most during the pandemic. But the rich and the privileged survive it better because the system doesn't even help them to get healthcare, no education, not good education, and so on. Now, you're talking about America. Come back to Africa and look at what is going on. I had an interview just recently by, the defense minister saying that when they went to Niamey to talk about their ECOWAS meeting just recently, on the 57th ECOWAS meeting, they really talk about the pandemic problems. But what have you heard about what they exactly said about the pandemic? Other than, the only thing I heard, Macky Sall asking for aid. As usual, we need aid. We are flooded, we are this or that. But in reality, we have thousands of Africans being caged in concentration camps in the Saudi Arabia, in the Arab world, because these Arabs think the COVID-19 came from Africa. In China, Africans were thrown in the street, denied access to their hospitals, to their cars, to their facilities, because they say COVID-19 came from Africa. Did you hear them talk about it in ECOWAS? No, they did not. So what have they talked about? Other than probably robbing figure, let's call them for aid. But the disrespect we face in the war is primarily because of the way we treat ourselves, fight among ourselves, not combine our energy to look at this need they have been putting on the neck of Africa since post-colonial days. Yes.
So away from that, that was just
a
forerunner there, if you
okay.
like. Now we will go to, you have this military background. You worked as a soldier. That was what you were doing. Let us go into that briefly. When you were a military officer in the 80s, right down to the 90s, can you take us through how the army was looking like? Because clearly what we have currently, or what we face currently, is a security issue. The fact that we have an army that is not fully in control of our sovereignty. I want us to go a little bit back to the time that you were in the military. How was it like?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I joined the military 1 year after its formation. It was formed, wait a minute, it was, yes, 1984. That was when the British were contracted to come and form the Gambian National Army. In 1985, I met the British Army training team, and, you know, I was going to, because I wanted to go to the engineering corps. Because when I was in the US, I studied agricultural engineering up to the associate degree. And I could no longer sponsor myself because I was working full time and going to college. But I said, let me go to the Gambia and see whether I could get sponsorship. First, I even went to the education department because I was a teacher, you know, and they wanted me to teach for about 2 years before they can sponsor me again. But then by accident, I went to Yundum Barracks and I wanted to join the engineering corps because it was a new army. And I said, well, engineering corps, that should be a good way to start something from fresh and see whether I can grow with it. But when I went there and met Colonel Major Wright, he looked at my credentials and said, whoa, this is good. Don't go to the engineering corps because it is a company. You're going to be limited to the rank of a captain. Come and join the infantry where the sky is the limit. You can even become a army commander because comparatively, you will be one of the most qualified academically in the army. I said, well, all right, let's go. And this is how I joined the army. It was tough. And then in fact, the catching word was, if you join, I promise you, I'm going to send you to America for training. I was just from America. Already I had started, you know, having, you know, missing America. And he gave me that. And I said, okay, I'm going to come. Then we came, took the test, and I joined. When I came back, I did not know much while I was training about what was going on. We were training, you know, conditions were just average. I did not even look at what I was into. Soon after my training, I went to America, and I came back. And that is when I started looking around to see what am I into? What have I got myself into? And to be honest with you, I came in 1987, April. After about 1 month, I said to myself, no, I don't want to stay here. I don't want to stay in the army. You know why? Because I saw that there was no planning. There was nothing like an orderly reason why even the army was formed in the presence of the Senegalese, who disintegrated the whole structure of the security in 1981, reorganized, reformed, and established a new doctrine for the Gambia as their defense policy. So when I hear some fools going around saying Gambia has never got a defense policy, I look at them and say, but I know they never read anything.
But then you mentioned this defense policy. We are going to go into that because I interviewed the National Security Advisor, and he is saying that they are working on a defense policy for the first time. Here you are saying that
it's baloney.
It's baloney. But before that, let us bring that. We will bring that video, and you will listen to what the National Security, Mr. Modu Baji, who was also a top military officer there, what he said just recently, a few months ago.
We have already started talking with the minister. We had a session which was mainly about preparatory and planning of drafting of the national defense policy. You see, these policies are very, very important in the sense that they direct the overall administration and management of the institutions, for example, the armed forces and the personnel. So that is one of the short-term, agenda that we've discussed with the Honorable Minister and that we are looking at. So very, very soon we will start the kickstart the process of drafting, the national defense policy. And that one also is going to be, history in the sense that it will also be the first national defense policy of the Gambia. In fact, we have already...
The first national defense policy of the Gambia. That is what he is saying. That's the national security advisor speaking there. And he was a former military officer just like yourself.
Yeah, he is my guy. I just saw him recently. You know, like, I think he's just following the, I think this is becoming, I don't know why they are doing what they are doing to this country. Because, what
are they doing?
Because they're not telling the truth. Look, let's be realistic. Even, I'm talking from a layman point of view. You think Senegal will come here in 1981, you probably were not born here, obliterate everything about our security. It was a major war, an intervention that many died. You're talking about hundreds and hundreds of Gambians died. The field force that was the basic security outfit of the country was reduced to nothing, except we had a skeletal few whom they call loyalists that the Senegalese started orientating to rebuild the security of the nation based on the threat of the Gambia. Before you even talk about security doctrine or security policy, you have to identify your threat. It starts from there. Every country has its own unique threat. We go out to study. In military schools, they teach us about army, fighting, defense, policies, strategies, but everybody knows your policy, your threat is unique to the country. The threat of Gambia is different from the threat of Senegal, Mali, Ghana, or whatever. But at that time, it came to a point where Senegal and Gambia, together with Sadauda and Abdou Diouf, signed an agreement and identified the threat of the country as fundamentally the security forces that was compromised by having a rebellious person like Coup Samba Sanyang, a civilian, walk into that military bar, so-called military barracks, and took command and control of the commanders and waged a coup d'etat. So, they said, this is not right. It happened because you have useless, a useless force you call an army, because a sane army with well-trained people will not allow a civilian to even come and ask a question, much more to come and take control of the army. So this is where they agreed together and say, yes, our greatest threat at that time was the armed forces, which was not founded on the principle of standard army. And Senegal promised to build us the best of the best. And they agreed. And get the whole mantra, the introductory language of every one of the policies that I read at that time was that they were going to build for this country a sizable armed forces, well-trained, disciplined, and would respect all the cardinals of, or the principles of maintaining a democratic state. Because when Coup came, not only did he disrupt the whole country, but he announced that he was going to transform the Gambia from a capitalist country to a communist country, a socialist country, which was so frightening to the Western world. In fact, they pushed Senegal, the Atlantic fleet by the US from Mediterranean, all came around here, standing by to ensure that the Soviets don't come in, because it was at the height of the Cold War. So, and then, Senegal was held by, I saw French troops in the Gambia fighting with the Senegalese in 1981. Yes.
You saw all of that.
I saw
and then the need came for an army to be built.
Listen, let me just conclude. But what I am now saying is, when that happened, Sadauda, everybody, of course we were not well educated, well knowledgeable about Gambians in particular. well knowledgeable about army, because after independence, the British left us what they had to maintain the colonial administration. Never changed. You know, so they Sadauda took it and continued like that. Never questioned what they left with him. And then, when Abdou Diouf saved the PPP, brought him back, the whole story was Abdou Diouf. And they came up with policies. I read it, where they talk about how they were going to create a sizable army, you know, corresponding to the need of the country and the threat. And what was the threat? The forces and Coup. Because Coup was not captured. He escaped. He went to Guinea-Bissau. From there, he went to Cuba and then to Libya, where he started training a force supported by Gaddafi to come back, because Gaddafi was angry with Jawara, to come back and take over. So when I got into the army, the first thing I realized was every now and then they will tell us, Coup is coming. We went into a serious alert. For 1 week, nobody will go. We will be in the bush, in trenches, waiting for Coup to come. And then they stand down. I thought the Senegalese were, in fact, doing it sometimes just to justify their presence in the country. But that was the policy, because Coup was our threat. And, you know, we needed to build a small, sizable army and so on. And they started with the gendarmerie, which I believe was good, because it was like a paramilitary that was supposed to do both police duties and military duties. But after a while, because we were so dependent on Senegal for our protection, it got into their heads. And they started acting like they own this country. Very rude. The police will do anything. There was a football match in 1983 when Gambians and Senegalese supporters were in conflict. The Senegalese released their armored personnel carriers to come and protect their people without even seeking permission from the president of the Gambia.
So, as a military officer at that time, you found
I was not a military
officer then. You were just
I was reading about this thing. So when I joined in, what I said was,
yes.
When I joined, I realized that, well, they brought the British, not because they wanted to complement the Senegalese effort, but to undermine the Senegalese effort. They wanted to get rid of the Senegalese now. Because the first thing I realized was the British did not want any single Senegalese to have a say in how the Gambian and the new Gambian National Army, how it is managed, how they live. In fact, if you put on your beret and tilt it to the left, which the French do and the Senegalese, they charge you and sometimes lock you up. Rob John said that to me the last time, one day. So, you know, what happened? You know, I look at it and I say, I would rather, in fact, because the British, again, we are not really orderly, because we had no libraries, we have no reference materials, we have nothing to come to and say, we can read this, we can do this. After coming from America, I read about a lot of things and understood a lot of things about the army that I didn't find on the ground. In fact, the British started saying, oh, the British train are better than the American train. No, they are better than the Pakistan train. The Pakistan train, they are better than, and they started dividing us and ruling us. And some officers thinking that they are better off than the other officers because they trained there and you did not train there. So we are all confused, you know, and nothing was based on merit. It's first come, first serve. If I have my bachelor's degree or my associate degree and I come and I find somebody with ordinary level, as long as he was recruited first, he is my senior. My qualification doesn't matter. And worst of all, we did not go to the range, we did not go to do any training, no exercise, without a British officer writing it for us, the orders, and giving us the instruction, accompanying us the range, giving us the number of bullets we're gonna fire. They guarded us like babies. And Senegalese, first when I contacted Chonga. Senegalese had come with an extraordinary special policy that I read about. And even when the Nigerians came, they took some of the policy statements written by the Senegalese and incorporated it in the policies they developed for the Gambia. Because when the Nigerians came also, they drafted their own policy, security policy for the country. In fact, I was reading one time, and I saw the mistake that they incorporated in their policy, saying that we are going to respect our confederal duties by supplying troops to the Confederation. And I went to Akoji, the smartest, I said, what confederation are you guys talking about? There is no confederation. Then they realized it and removed it. But you know what? These people were not reading. Most officers did not believe in reading. To be honest with you, they did not.
Yes.
So
yes.
all those who are howling now are empty shells.
I think, Mansour, you should check the sound. We have sound issues there.
Oh, really?
So yes, but then we can continue from there. But now talk to us about the political will on the side of the Commander-in-Chief, then Jawara. When you were in the army, you know, there is all these problems that were there. But the political will on the part of the Commander-in-Chief, how was that like, to ensuring that the army was a fully fledged, fully functional military?
Yeah, you can only do that if you have a clue about what the army you are trying to form is doing, or what you have, whether you had given them a mandate and a requirement and a time frame on when it should be achieved and all that.
So you are saying that Jawara didn't have any clue?
No, Jawara did not.
Regarding an army? Yeah,
none of his members of his government, they all depended on the British in the end. And you know, when they wanted to yank the Senegalese out, they relied on the British. When the Senegalese went out, the British they had nothing, they could not find a way forward, because what the Senegalese did also was, when they started trying to build an army exclusive of, independent of their influence or intervention, they came up with another program, which was to ask the new army to be supplying troops to the Confederation. You know, and in the end, that became the purpose of the army. We trained, everybody was excited about being in the army because you wanted to go to the Confederation. You know, because the Confederation paid 3 times, 4 times more than what you are paid in the Gambia army. So, you know, everybody looked forward. So,
was that what kept you in the army then? The fact that there was more money in the Confederation? Because clearly you had made up your mind to go to the gendarmerie.
No, I was going to the gendarmerie. Gendarmerie and the army were paid the same. But the Confederation was a different level. I think they appeased me, thinking that probably I just wanted to join the Senegalese also, and took me there. And when I went there and I found that the money was excellent, hey, I loved it. Who would not love to be paid very well in anything you do in this world? This world is controlled and driven by money. Anything they tell you otherwise is a joke. You know, so I love it. But, you know, eventually...
well, people say Samsar refused to fight. In Liberia, Samsar shot himself and refused to go to Liberia.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes.
Yeah, because, you know, like...
Why did you shoot yourself?
Yeah, it was an accident I had in 1988, 4th of May, 1988. You know, that was 2 years before Liberia. You know, I had a gun, a pistol. In fact, I should have brought the picture. I have the pistol that I always carried. And one time I realized that it had a problem. It was jamming and so on. Then I called Birkama, where our headquarters was, and I told them, I want to change it. They say, okay, we're going to send you a truck tomorrow, you know, to come. And so while I was waiting for the truck, I was playing with the gun, you know, and then just when I wanted to put it in the holster, I did not know I loaded it. Then it fired, bang. And it got into my, you know, you could see that it got here and broke my leg about 4 times. You know, luckily, you know, I was airlifted to Senegal, you know, and treated well, and I recovered. Although I have bullet chips still in my leg, that, you know, sometimes I get up in the morning and think the world is ending because of the pain. But, you know, I survived it. Now, that was 1988. That's 1 year after I got into the Confederation. Then, In 1989, the Confederation ended.
89, yes.
And again, you know, we were confused because our only purpose of serving in the army with zeal and ambition and what, how would I say? Our only purpose of serving in the army was to go into the Confederation and make money. Because people will go, some will make. The best way to discipline soldiers was, if you mess up, you're not going to the Confederation. They will be like this. You go to the Confederation, you make money, you come, you build a house. Or you finish your parents, some will marry wives, some will, you know, it was a good life, you know. But when the Senegalese pulled out, we were bloated, you know, because at the last time in 1989, we had in fact prepared company, Delta Company, that was to be headed by Captain Lai Conteden, who was the mayor of
Banjul.
Serekunda, Kanifing.
Kanifing, sorry.
Yes, he was to head Delta Company. For the first time, we were supposed to deploy to Casamas, you know, and everything was ready, just about to go, when all of a sudden we got up one morning, no warning. I was in Katong, and the soldier just came and saluted and said, we got an order that we are leaving the country today.
The Confederation was always bound to end that way. It was a very bad deal on the part of the Gambia. But then
no, for the government.
For the government.
It was excellent for them because that was what held their security, just like what you have now.
We will get into all of that, but then I'll take you a little bit back.
No. You asked me about why didn't I go to Liberia?
Exactly. You hated Liberia. That was what I wanted to go back to. Yes.
You know, so you know that I did not suit myself in 1988 just to avoid Liberia in 1990.
Yes.
That is just some haters who developed that story, and you know, like supported by even those who know the truth.
But you hated Liberia.
Yes.
Liberia was something that you were never ready to go to.
Yes,
as a soldier.
Yeah, because you know what? In fact, it was not necessarily even, you know, by coincidence, when I came from the Confederation and I realized that the army did not know what to do. Because when the Senegalese pulled out, that was when the time, in fact, I called the commander and said, can't we, for the first time, have an emergency security meeting to see whether we can reorganize the army in the wake of the removal, because we have more people in the army than what we can handle. They said, oh, don't worry, sir. When they step out, we're going to step in. You know, this is what it is. Kudang had hundreds of soldiers. Birkama, Katong, Bakau, you know, Confederation was everywhere. Every one of them pulled out. We had so many men. We did not know what to do with them. The only changes they did was use the gendarmerie, take the gendarmerie, merge it with the police, give President to take over the both organizations. Yes. But I thought it was crazy. I said, this is not going to work because we cannot sustain the soldiers in this way. Discipline was going bad. Soldiers were very, you know, they were hard to control. And guess what I did? I sat down, I talked to my family, and I said, I'm quitting the army. They say, what? I say, I don't want to stay here. In fact, I went to meet even the authorities. They asked me, why do you want to quit? I say, you know what? I am not even a full soldier as the soldier I am used to be, because I had a gunshot injury, and occasionally it hurts me. I want to go and retire on medical grounds and find another job. They say, yeah, okay, good. You want to go do that? I talked to authorities, senior authorities. They even told me that if I give up, if I finish, you know, because it was justifiable. You know, my right leg is still shorter than my left leg. It's hard to notice. Yes. But, you know, those were justifiable things. Bullets are still in my hand. I said, I want to leave. They say, okay, if you leave, we'll find you a job. And then I submitted my application, and they accepted it. You know, and in the process of trying to leave, serving my notice, another officer who also studied the ground, they call him Lieutenant Kamara. He was the ADC to Sadauda at that time. He talked to me and realized that we are heading on a train wreck in this army. He said, I am also leaving. So he also submitted his resignation letter while I am being processed. I think that alarmed the government. And they called the commander and said, what's going on with your officers all wanting to leave? But because Kamara was was really a very, very, it's a thorn in the flesh of the command who challenged things that were wrong. They say, no, Kamara, we will leave Kamara to go, but we will force SAR to stay. I said, no, I don't want to stay. They say, I am staying by force. I went to Dr. Jones, they checked, gave me medical papers, and I took it to them and said, look, Dr. Jones said, they say it's irrelevant. They're not going to look at that. I'm not leaving the army because the Gambia government paid for my education in the army. And, you know, I said, I'm not going to work. So they charged me and put me into a court-martial. A court-martial, at the height of the court-martial is when Liberia came out. I did not like it. Although I was in the court-martial, in fact, I felt guilty because while I was asked in the army, Omar Faye was the first to lead the company.
And that's your commander there?
No, yeah, he was the first to lead the contingent to Liberia because it was going to be another lucrative venture. The world had pledged to pay ECOMOG for the first time $100 per day for being deployed in Liberia. And at the last minute when they were about to go into Liberia, desert storm broke up in the Middle East.
Yes.
When Saddam Hussein was to be ejected from Kuwait. And they withdrew all their pledges and redirected the money to that war. Senegal then refused to join ECOWAS and joined the desert war fighting. So that's when they said, okay, soldiers are going to be paid $3 a day instead of $100 a day. And they went into Liberia thinking it was peacekeeping, and they were confronted by Charles Taylor's rebels. First days in the ground, they killed 2 of our soldiers for the first time.
So you clearly found that really
scary. No, that is normal. But what I'm saying is, people who went for the peacekeeping and they were killed, you know.
You would not call that a peacekeeping then? That would be war.
Yeah. And worst of all, when they were killed, first wave of death, Nigeria came with C-130 aircraft to collect all dead bodies to different places. Nigeria took their dead bodies, Ghana took their dead bodies, Guinea, Sierra Leone took their bodies. Gambia government said, don't bring them here.
The Jawara government said, don't bring them here.
Yes.
Just 2 bodies.
Bury them there. For the first time, these guys realized that when they die on the ground, they're not going to go home. Their parents are not going to see them.
What did you make of that? What did you make of that when that happened? When you
if I were on that ground, I will demand an instant call of that mission, and we go home.
Why would you abort your mission?
Oh yes,
because as a soldier.
No, because it is. I will think about it. Just you, Jai. You are a commander. They send you on the ground with your men, and they are dead on a command given by your authorities, and you want to bring them home. They said no. Let them be buried there. Your parents.
So you are saying Sheikh Omar Faye didn't do justice to his men there?
Not only Sheikh Omar, the Gambia government did not. And I think that is why I understand why people like Sheikh Omar Faye found a way to quit. Because they quit.
But this was one of the finest soldiers the Gambia had ever produced.
What do you mean by the finest soldiers?
And he was a good commander. His company, he told me in an interview that his company for a number of years was the best company, Charlie Company, the first company to be deployed to a very critical country such as Liberia at the time. But I mean, his company, Charlie Company, of course, you are a product of that company. And when I interviewed Sheikh Omar, he did, mention people like yourself as some of the best. Let's listen to what he said, and then we'll be right back.
No, in fact, Charlie Company. Okay.
Yes, let's listen to that.
In March, on the 4th of March, if I don't miss the date, 2017, the first agreement was signed with regards to defense and security. And that hot pursuit was part of it. September 2018, it was signed again. What is left is the latest presidential summit we had in Dakar between the 10th and 12th of March. Just listen.
I don't think that's a different.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yes.
But I mean, so this was the thing. The first the contingent went to Liberia. You were not part of that, of course, but you had.
Yeah, I was at the middle of a court martial when they were leaving. I was at the middle of a court martial. To be honest with you, that is, like, so it's not like, Sam, come on, go. I said, no, I'm not going. I was at the middle of a court martial. While they were there, in fact, I was found guilty of refusing to serve, and that by force I had to serve, and they demoted me from a full lieutenant to a second lieutenant.
Don't you think that was where this thing of you not wanting to go to finding a way to dodge the war, because you wanted to quit, but before that, people thought that you didn't want to go to war. That's why you shot yourself, and then at some point you wanted to quit.
But does that make sense to you? Ask yourself that question. I shot myself in 1988 just to avoid Liberia in 1990. And just before Liberia even happened, I wanted to quit, and they charged me and said I couldn't go, and started court-martialing me. At the middle of the court-martial, Liberia all of a sudden erupted, and they were to go. Nobody told me, in fact, when they were being prosecuted, nobody told me, all right, stop the court-martial, sorry, you are going to Liberia. The Liberia, it doesn't make sense. But when it was time for me to go where things were hard, 1997, when the crisis happened in Guinea-Bissau, that was a full-blown war between Senegalese and Ansumanawane's men there, But I was then the deputy army commander. 1997, I was the deputy army commander. And when it was time to send a company to Bissau, because the French wanted us to be part of a contingent that they were sponsoring to bring peace, I volunteered to join them. Nobody told me as a deputy commander to go. I said, I am going.
And you went.
And you know why I did go? I went.
Yes.
And you know why I did? I volunteered? Because we had rumors. Because when the Senegalese wanted to go, they called us to join them and go as one force. And we said, no, we cannot go with you as one force. We already had learned our lessons on you guys, the way you are treating the government, our government. 1996, Coup and his rebels attacked our army barracks in Farafenye and killed 8, and you still cannot explain that to us. 1997, LF Jammeh attacked our barracks at Khartoum and killed our soldiers from your barracks, and you cannot explain that. Now you want us to go and fight with you. How much can we trust you? We cannot go into Guinea-Bissau as fighters, but as peacemakers. And that is what attracted the French. And they said, we are going. And I went. And when we arrived, because, already we were told that the Senegalese are saying that the Gambian contingent was going in purposely to support Ansumana Wane, who is a Gambian. And I said, that's not true. So I volunteered and went into Liberia, Guinea-Bissau. When we arrived, it was serious tension. The Senegalese created roadblocks and disallowed us from even moving. The French had to negotiate until they allowed us to occupy a non-habitable area overnight. First thing in the morning, I went to their base and found this Colonel Coney, a very tall guy. And I told him, look, what's going on? No, he was very embarrassed. He didn't think I would do that. Oh, no, we are protecting this. I said, we are here to protect. We are here for peace. We're not here for Ansumana. We are brothers. We are here for peace. And it went so well that they opened up the doors and allowed us to mediate. We could go into Ansumana's camp and come back and go to Nino Vera's palace. And we talked until we brought them to sit down and for the first time agreed on a ceasefire. The French ambassador asked Babukar Jatta, Colonel Babukar Jatta, CDS, they were demanding from Jammeh that I should stay in Bissau because of what I did to normalize the situation.
So in essence, you were a good soldier, and your commander was here, and in fact, you were one of the men who worked under him that he singled out Let's hear what Sir Omar Fai, your former commander, said about you and others.
I was blessed that Charlie Company was, some years, chosen as the best company in the Gambian Army. I've never said that here. Today I'm going to say it. And my guys are, some of them in the Gambia, overwhelmingly they're in Europe, in America. If they watch this interview, they know what I'm talking about. That was Charlie Company. When you talked about Yankuba Toure.
These are the people, some of them were, these are the people that went to Liberia.
When you talk about my younger brother, Ibu Jallo, who was a private soldier in my company. When you talk about Babu Karjata, former CDS. When you talk about Sam Sar, platoon commander. When you talked about Kambi, Pamodu Ann, Captain Johnson. These are people that we have worked closely. My sergeant major is now a full colonel, and we've just signed his paperwork to be seconded to the Senegalo-Gambian Secretariat. I don't think that commander was a bad commander. Whether he was an angel, no, I was not. I had my mistakes, and like everybody else, we're going to learn from them and move. But I want to take the opportunity to thank all those troops, officers and men that served together to got Charlie Company to where it got. When you come to drill, shooting, dressing, even when you go out to social life, my guys were always the best. And I want to take this opportunity today. And it was all under Colonel Dawanjai. I was blessed.
So when you talk about Samsar, platoon commander.
Yeah, I know. I was a platoon commander, but most of my career, if you look at it, 1987 to 1989, I spent it in the Confederation. And 89, 90, by 90, Liberia came, there was so much of problems in the army. And then, by 1991, the army was so chaotic that we had to bring the Nigerians to take over from the British because the British could not handle it. So 1992, the Nigerians came. And by 1994, the Nigerians failed because they had an internal crisis among them. They were fighting over who should take command.
Of course, who should go take command.
Yeah.
One was asked to come back, recalled, he refused to go.
No. I mean, like it's not only refusal to go because he felt that what he signed with President Jawara at that time, was for him to form the Gambia army in the presence of Babangida, who sent him there.
And there was a coup in Nigeria, political.
Nigeria, and
yes.
Babangida was out. That is why I said, whatever we may be doing with Senegal now, it should be transparent, because it is between Macky Sall and Adama Barrow. If any of them should go out, I don't know what they have signed, whether it will be durable after that. But that's what happened. So they fought, and Abacha was not happy with Jawara, and I think he wanted to undermine his system because he felt Jawara did not respect him the way he wanted. And then, when he executed the radical, what's his name again, the Ogoni Kensarawiwa, he really looked bad, Abacha, and the whole world couldn't understand why Jawara was still associating with Nigeria with that kind of brutal dictator. So he started shying away, running away from Abacha until Abacha knows it, but failing to understand that the security of this country is in the hands of Abacha. So Abacha started undermining the very things that for the 2 years Babangida was helping Gambia to create. And this is when the friction started and a vacuum happened and the soldiers stepped in, which originally, if you ask some of the officers who planned it, they said it was supposed to be a demonstration that turned into a coup. But that's the situation.
But clearly there were, a lot of cracks, a lot of tension in the army, a lot of disorganization in the army. And then the 1994, at some point the soldiers really, they felt that enough is enough of the Jawara government, and the 1994 coup d'etat came. You chose, as a senior military officer at that time, you chose not to be part of the coup.
I did not know about it. I took a hint of it about 1 week, Sunday. It was Sunday, because the Americans were coming for an exercise. And I was the staff officer at the Ministry of Defense. I was the liaison officer between the army and the government. So I literally coordinated the the exercise program and all that. In fact, I wrote the press release to advise the country that we are going to hold an exercise with the Americans on that day, 22nd July, and we might be seen everywhere together with our guns. Let them not be alarmed, because that's what was supposed to happen, and it was going to climax at the Denton break, the operational order. So, but when I went that Sunday to talk to Akoji, by then, of course, these Nigerians were at a serious friction. Akoji, who was the acting commander, he told me about it for the first time. Said, sir, I hope you heard about the soldiers planning a coup at Yundum Barracks. You know, because Akoji was sometimes very jovial. I thought it was a joke, you know. And I said, are you serious, sir? And he turned around, why am I even telling you, sir? Maybe you are even part of it.
He told you that, but you were clearly not informed. You were you were not part of it. Why do you think that must have been the reason? Because some of the people that were part of this coup, at least Sana Sabali, you know, said that, you know, the likes of Samsudin Sar would be the last people.
Because I am a very rational person. They know.
Let's listen to what Sana Sabali said.
Yeah, because I am a rational.
We had a mistake also. I put this across. During our preparation and planning, we had deliberately left out the Gambia Marine Unit at the time. For the fact that, of course, they are part of the GNA, but we thought putting the information to them would be opening up totally outside the camp. Like we wanted to control and contain the information only in Yundum Barracks.
But how about your other superior officers? Gambian superior officers who were in the army, were they informed?
Some of them were informed.
Tell us who was informed?
Like I said, Nurcham was informed, Lieutenant Barrow was informed, and they came in, but they went out.
I mean superior officers, senior officers for that matter.
Okay, one would suspect we would inform all of them, but no, this is a situation where you only needed a closely knitted, confidential team together. And having been together for years, we knew each other along that line, that if I should tell A something, the next minute B and C will get to know about it.
Did you sell Samsudin Sar?
In reality, to tell the truth, Samsudin Sar will be the last person I will inform about a coup plan.
Why?
I better not say it, please. But the information will go out.
Of course, we have to respect everybody. Yeah. We have to treat everybody with dignity and properly.
The information will go out. Samsudin Sar would be the last person.
Yes.
Would inform a coup.
Because I was,
and people were chuckling.
Yeah,
people
because
were
you know what? Because why were they laughing? Why were they laughing? You bunch of idiots who were pandering, we were playing around, playing with Sana Sabali, like enjoying the lies Senegal Sabali was talking. You know?
So it was really a show.
Yeah, a bunch of idiots, I say, laughing. Why, you should be proud of Samsudin. You should ask, they should have driven that question to the answer. Because I would be the last person to support a coup.
Because coup is illegal. And
not only is illegal, it's dangerous. Coup is dangerous. When it happened, it's a fluid situation. Anything could happen.
And I also think
it could degenerate into armed conflict. Just that April 1994, I used to sit down with my blood, you know, like I could, watching at what was happening in Rwanda because of armed conflict. Neighbors, friends, family members, slaughtering each other because of politics. And coup is too political, and it could have degenerated. Their original plan, they will tell you. Basiru Baro told me the same thing. No, not Basiru Baro.
Nurcham.
Yes, Nurcham told me the same thing. What's his name again? I want to know this guy. Kante. Kante. He told me that their original planning, which made them walk out of the program, including Baro, was that soon after the day after the coup, they were going to arrest all ministers and all senior officers above the rank of captain and above, and execute them.
And you were going to be part of that?
I was going to be,
yes.
And it could have happened because it happens. They did it in Liberia. Sorry, it happened in Liberia. It happened in Sierra Leone. It was the pattern, SOP of coup d'etats.
And these people were being brainwashed by these events that were happening
Oh,
prior to their own.
It wasn't a brainwash, it was the fashion. Coup d'etats were acceptable. You know, you coup d'etat the next minute.
Did you really think that that was going to be the case for them to arrest all the ministers and all the senior officers and then execute them summarily?
If they had it the way they originally planned it, they would have done that. You know who saved that? To be honest with you, this is not about Jammeh helped us on that one, because at mile 2 we all got the information that Edward was campaigning seriously to have every officer executed, because Strasser, who were their role model, advised him to do so. And Jammeh told him that if he ever brought that again to him, he was going to go to mile 2. You know, but come back to Sana Sabali.
Yes, let's get back to why do you think Sana Sabali?
Yeah, because Sana
was
Sabali,
so personal.
you know, because Sana Sabali.
Yes.
Sana Sabali, you know, I used to call him my best buddy in the army. Because twice they wanted to dismiss him in the army, and I stood and say, over my dead body, it's not going to happen. First was, he was at Kudang as a platoon commander, and when they mobilized the soldiers to go for a hunt, and they were using live round, which is illegal, they went to shoot pigs, bush pigs, and they shot one bush pig, and you know, it fell down, and the sergeant, the other soldiers ran towards the bush pig. Just when they came close to it, the bush pig just got up and started running. The soldier pulled the trigger and killed the sergeant.
So even that happened. The sergeant died.
He died at the spot. And Jim Saw, who was our commander of the British Army training team, said we had to court-martial Sana Sabali and dismiss him from the army because he was not supposed to use live rounds for hunting without permission. And I was like, wow. But Sana was so nice. He was the one who would hardly talk. He would not even look at you in the eye. Oh, yes, sir, yes. He was just like that. And I had sympathy toward him. Even when they were court-martialing me, I knew he used to look at me and felt bad about it. Yes. So I said, I owe him something. And I investigated the situation and realized that this was approved by Colonel Ndaunjai. When long ago, he said, because the officers who go there are bored, they could be using the live rounds to be going for hunting. And all the officers who had been there had done the same thing. By accident, Sana Sabali was just there when this thing happened, incidentally, but it could have happened to any officer. And I said to Colonel, so it's not going to happen. This was something, although we don't write anything in the army at that time, I say, but this was something that was approved verbally by the commander. And we named officers who were there, and officers came forward and said, yes, they were doing the same thing.
They corroborated.
Yes, and that's how he survived it. Then in 1992, when the soldiers from Liberia organized their second demonstration, that night Sana Sabali was the duty officer. And they came, seized the weapons, and went into a rampage, fired shots, and were going to Banjul, and were stopped by the gendarmerie. Colonel Shaw again said he was going to try Sana Sabali and get him out of the army. And I said, no, he had nothing to do with this. It happened before. He was just a duty officer. It could have happened to any duty officer. I swear to God, on the day of the coup d'etat, Sana Sabali reminded me of this. He said, sir, if it were not you, I would not have been in this army up to today. He was treating me like...
But so why do you think Sana would sit in front of the nation and say, and be very personal about Samsudin Sarr?
Yeah, because you know what? I wrote a book about everything that happened in the coup, and I was very frank. And I also mentioned all these things. Because, you know, we had this culture in the army that, you know, we have to shut up. Obey, like the field force, they used to say, you know, obey, don't complain. You know, you got to execute before you complain. Illegal orders are not supposed to be executed. When an officer, senior officer, gives you an illegal order, you have all rights to tell him, go to hell, I'm not going to do it. And these guys were issuing illegal orders everywhere. You know, So all these things I have highlighted in my book, you know.
In your book, before we get to your book, I know because that was in fact the reason why, you know, it took years, you know, you living in US and not returning to the country because of that book that you wrote. But before that, when the coup happened, you were among the soldiers, senior officers that were arrested.
Yes.
You were spent about 2 years in Mile.
No, I say 10 months.
10 months at Mile 2. But people say, okay, when Samsudin Sarr was at Mile 2, he faked mental illness.
Yes.
That you were there and
Yes.
pretended to be mad.
Yes.
So that, you know, people can be sympathetic towards Samsudin Sarr and then you will let out of prison. Is that the case?
No. I did it because I was afraid of a second return of what the torturers. Because already we were informed that Edward was doing everything to have us executed. Kante told us that. He said it happened in his presence when Jammeh reprimanded him. And then this night, all of a sudden, Singate came. He was drunk to I cannot imagine. I have never seen Senek Singate that way. I used to like this guy. You know, I mean, like he would speak nice. You'll think that he was a gentleman, like the brother. I used to like them. But that night, I saw a monster. And he was like, he almost killed Mama Cham while I was looking. I was at cell number 1, the lights were out.
It would interest you to know that, so, I mean, Edward has dismissed all of these things that you were saying.
He what?
That he dismissed this, that you
yeah,
were drunk.
Yeah. I mean,
and
like,
then he came to Mile 2 and
so
wanted
you know,
to
like,
kill Mama Cham.
He dismissed Mama Cham's, he dismissed Mama Cham's version, Chongan's version, everybody who was there. This has never changed. Everybody who was there saw this event at that night. Sirif Gomez, you know, and they suffered it. They were beaten seriously. I saw it there. And when they went out, you know, I could see that the other officers were not even keen in the torturing. Sana Sabali was not keen in torturing. Sadibu was not. Likewise, Yankuba, they were not. I did not see them do anything bad that night. Albert Gomez was part of my platoon. He came and whispered to me and said, "Sir, this is all a joke. They are not doing anything to anybody." And then when they were leaving again, I heard Yankuba laughing, saying, "Hey, Sam, tomorrow amphibians were coming for you." And I knew that while some were looking at this as a joke, an accident could happen.
So to you, the only thing to avoid that or to save yourself was to...
No, it's not safe. I was afraid that they will come back and an accident will happen. And if one was killed, there was going to be no choice. Everybody was going to be killed. Because somebody even said, Edward fired a shot that went through the wall of the prisons, and it was there, very close to Mama Cham. Mama Cham, to some extent, they wanted to see him dead. But I wondered why, because you know what, I was appointed with Mama Cham the same day, we were arrested the same day. So, and I was wondering, why did they come and beat Mama Cham this way? And he confessed to me later that he was informed about the coup, and he agreed. But when they told him that when it comes to appointing officers, they were not going to base it on seniority, he withdrew. I would not have done that. If I knew that about Mama Cham, I would not have even stayed at the State House with him. Because I understand that after doing that, he was going around telling people, his folks like this guy, what's his name, Captain MFK Balde and others, that if they coup, he was going to organize a counter coup. So I believe soon after we were announced ministers, these guys started reporting him. And they collected me and him and took us to Mile 2. And you know, it was in Mile 2 that Nur Cham first told me that him and Mama Cham knew about it, they were told about it. And MFK Balde, we were captains. I was shocked. I don't know what I was eating or I was doing, but I stopped what I was doing and went to Mama Cham and asked him, "Did you really know about this coup?" Yes, they told me, but you know, when they say they're not going to base it on seniority, I pulled. I was shocked. You know, that was the most irresponsible thing a senior officer could do.
What would you have done if this was Samsudin Sar?
Oh no, I will stop it. I will stop them because
did you have? I mean,
I tried to. When I left Akoji that day, I told you when I went to Akoji,
yes,
and he told me
you that there was a coup.
The following day, I went to Bon Jack's office, our permanent secretary, and I asked him, look, I was talking to Akoji because I was there, and he told me about a coup. He said, oh yes, we heard about it, but we are taking care of it. I was the staff officer. I was the most important person to know, and they were hiding it from me. But they left it to Keba Sise, who was then the National Security Advisor, and Akoji. We are conducting the investigation. I called Yundum, and I wanted to talk to Singate, because his brother, who was in America, Peter Singate, had just performed very well and was given the best foreign student award, and they sent the documents to me. And I wanted to use that to talk to him and tell him, your brother is doing well, and ask him about the coup. But I called his company, they said he was not there. I called the adjutant, Sirif Gomez, who was the adjutant, and I asked him the same question. I said, I just heard from Akoji that there is a coup d'etat being and he literally, like, sir, you don't know what you're talking about.
So don't you?
Yundum, he said, Yundum, we are doing hard work. If you guys are staying in that office and enjoy your air conditioning, leave us alone. We are doing a beautiful job. We will not think about that nonsense. More or less, that's what he told me. And I called Say, who was the heavy weapon officer. Say, who was Sergeant Major, he was in my platoon at Khartoum, very close. I called him, and he said, I did not hear anything about that, sir, but I will find out. But I don't think anything like that will happen without my participation. So that is why on that day, when I saw him mounting an anti-aircraft at the Detention Bridge, I was shocked. And I looked at him in the face and said, Say, that's you? Later on, he confessed to me that he never was part of it. He was forced to join them. In fact, they locked him up in the jail and gave him an a choice of either joining them or they're going to punish him. And that is how he joined them on that very day. So, but coming back to mile 2.
Yes, and your,
my faking.
Your faking of madness there.
Yes,
Tell us about it.
Yes. So I thought about it, and I said, look, what can I do? In fact, I first said I was going to go into a hunger strike. I said, no, that's not wrong. Let me just do something dramatic. When I do something dramatic, it will attract the attention of people outside, because people outside don't know probably what is happening here.
What is inside? So
it was the fact.
This is a tactic to survive, if you like.
Yeah, survival. In wars, you have seen so many people pretending to be dead just to survive a massacre, and then they leave to go and fight another day.
Yes, that is what you were simply doing.
Yeah, because I said, look, if these guys come back, we are dead. We could be dead, and nothing was going to stop them. In fact, after that day, they locked us up. They used to allow us to come out, take some, meat, sit down, play Scrabble, discuss certain things, some play draft. We used to have groups inside, outside, it was free. But after that night, we were like, locked down 24 hours. In the morning, they come with guns again. You go and, empty your chamber pot, come back, and they lock us. Nobody talk. And I say, this is maddening. What happened? And these guys are coming back. If we keep quiet like this, it's not going to happen. Then I decided, I'd say, look, I'm going to do this on Saturday. And I planned it. It was sort of on Saturday. On Saturday, I took my towel and I covered my head, because I know that, if I come to face contact, they will probably see the tricks I was playing. So I decided to cover my head constantly. Nobody could take that towel out of my head. And I will sometimes laugh, because I remember Dr. Njai coming to give a long prognosis and diagnosis of what he thinks happened, medical jargon. First day, nobody believed it. They were like, what happened? But then, the second day, it became an alarming stuff. And I was happy that the next thing I realized was for the first time, they opened all of us and they sent police officers to come and take statements on us and treat us as...
Did they take your statement?
No, I could not.
Apparently that is...
No,
that
I
is
could
mad.
not. I could not, but I was hearing all the questions, because when they were taken and when they come, I will hear them explaining the questions. They ask them what they will do, this, that, and that, and that. I know 2 officers, like Kante used to come every morning with his black shorts, say, yes, sir, don't worry, this is going to change. Kambi used to bring me biscuits every morning, yes, and I know 2 officers who never came. I will always see them, they will never pass. They will always pass. They will never come and ask me what's wrong. I know them, they know, probably they are looking at this and they know who they are. I wrote them in my book,
yes.
So, but they came and asked us questions, and then, and I knew, and it diffused this tension. They opened up the doors. For the first time, we had this feeling that
so
we
you
are going
saying your madness or your faking of madness was what really led to the Edward Singate plan not being implemented.
What do you mean?
The Edward, because you said Edward Singate was intent on killing you.
No. That was well before I understand. Kante told us that. Kante told us well before the 6th September incident, because Kante was made a spokesman, and he was part of the council. And after a while, in August, they brought him in, and he hinted us about the intention of Edward. But he told us at that time that Jammeh really told him not to ever raise that up. Jammeh was not going to see that happen. So we felt that it's not going to happen, but when it happened on the 6th of September, because everybody was doing whatever you wanted, 6th of September, they did not give Jammeh the respect he deserved at that time. They felt they were equal partners in the coup and had the authority to do what they were doing. That is why Sana Sabali was going around shooting people in the streets.
Did he shoot people?
Huh?
Did he shoot people? Did he really shoot people?
No, shooting at vehicles. And were you around? How old were you?
Well, I was here, but I know he appeared before the TRRC and he never shot at anybody.
He was shooting at vehicles. There was an MRC doctor whom he shot his vehicle. He was like acting mad, went to, I don't know. So he was acting really out of his mind, until they grounded him. Because Sarah Sabal, if they did not ground him.
So how many days in mile 2 did you pretend to be mad? How many days? How long did this last? And how did you recover?
About 6 days.
About 6 days?
Yes.
Were you given medicine?
No, come on. That's the good part about it. Because after 6 days, I was wondering, how am I going to get out of this? One, my wife used to send me some mosquito repellents, and then the repellent was going out. And I say, I'm not going to continue like this without my repellents because I am so susceptible to malaria. I said, no, okay, I have to think about a way. Then all of a sudden, it's like God just answered my prayer. And I had Lieutenant Diba, who was a gendarmerie, explaining to the commander of the prisons that the cell I am in, which is number 1, had an evil spirit that was there since 1981. That all people who were kept in that cell either died or went mad.
So that was what covered.
So
that was.
I say, oh, that sounds good. And then he said he could do something to cure me. And then they said, yeah, okay. He said, just let them take out the towel, take the towel from him. So they took the towel from me and grabbed me, and this idiot came and held my head and was narrating, reciting all kind of surah.
Really? Was he an idiot?
And spitting all over my face.
Yes.
I said, I'm not going to go through this nasty thing again.
And you got,
And then they said,
you came back to your senses.
So the second thing was, they have to take me out of that cell and take me to another cell where the evil spirit is not residing.
Yes.
So they took me to number 4 cell where Sergeant Major Onoka, what's his name? RSM Jeng, who was tortured and taken away.
Yes.
So they took me there. And then, but, this funny thing is, I used to remember Captain Johnson. He is one person whom I felt knew I was playing a trick. because he would every day come to me and whisper to my ear, "Japa ko fa de, affaire ba nge walk," and then he walks away.
Yes.
You know, like he would say, "Japa ko fa de, nge walk," but he never really told me. So I felt he knew. And in fact, the day when they took me to cell number 4, I was sitting down with him, Sirif Gomez, and Johnson came again and said, "Chapa ko fa," then I just busted. I couldn't resist it. I laughed. And then Sirif Gomez was shocked. And I told him, "Look, don't worry. I know what is happening. I pulled this off to save us because this could be serious."
Did they thank you?
Well, everybody just withdrew, and I told them everything that was happening. Because guess what? Because I should have brought those papers. I had my toilet papers. I was recording everything every day.
The madman was recording everything
Yes.
every day.
And I was telling them exactly what was happening from day one. In fact, when they took me that day to, they wanted to, because there was Thomas Jajo, also a prison officer, who did not believe in my sickness. So he forced me and said they must take me to give my statement. And I think he was even prepared to use force that day.
Do you know at all how the council members reacted to your, sudden madness?
Yeah. No, that will come later. Because apparently when they forced me, let me just tell you, when they forced me to go to give my statement, I found this Gonel Bar, where he was my brother, he was from the street. He was the investigating officer, and he started even telling me about my mom and so on. "Sir, I did not expect you to behave this way. You should be braver than this." And I was laughing. "You should do better than this, blah, blah, this." And I was like, it's okay, because to me, I saw somebody who was trying to, I don't know why they brought him, but I think he was trying to prove that he knows me and he could talk to me. But I started telling him some nonsense, and he said, "Oh, I'm so disappointed with this guy. Oh, no. But Gonel Ba was there, and there was this guy from Charm from, I knew all of them. And I went back. That was the first day when they wanted to take my statement, and I refused to cooperate. But I came and I wrote this, and I explained all this to everybody, and even there was a quarrel between Sirif Gomez and Huru Hara, Sergeant Sabali, over tea that Sunday. The tea they brought, they put some milk, and I think Sirif did not want tea in it, and he protested. They argued over that. All those things I wrote them and mentioned it to them. But there were a few people whom I did not explain to what happened. And those were, all right, Mama Cham was not there. Chongan was not there. Sergeant Major Jeng, RSM Jeng was not there. Although Mama Cham came to the TRRC and pretended as if he was there and said, "Yes, I was mad. He was there." And for the 6 days, I refused to eat, although I had food kept under me that I ate at night, because I had a lot of snacks that I kept at night. And then you also call this guy Jeng, he came and said he used to feed me. When everybody said I wasn't even eating, I ate at night. And at night, you don't hear anything. So a real madman will be well at night, and in the morning, he's mad. That should have put a question mark over my madness. But nobody will hear anything about me at night. In the morning, they just follow me, cover my head. And they will start talking to me, and I will not respond to anybody. I refuse to talk to anybody until this day when I laugh it out and said, well, this is it. So, all right, I think 3 months after, I was invited at the RVH. Dr. Jones was there, Dr. Gay was there, and a group of medical officers. There is one of them whom I always meet, and he would try to remind me of that incident. I am very bad in remembering names. I can recall faces, but I am very bad in keeping names. And he will always ask, "You remember me?" I say, yeah, what's my name? And I say, then, in fact, I think he even think I'm crazy, But it was the first time I could tell somebody of authority what happened that night on the 6th of September. And I explained to them that nothing was wrong with me.
That you were, in fact, well.
I said, I just wanted to come out and let them know that the torturing was brutal. And if it had to happen, if it has to happen again, people may die. And let them convey that message to everybody. Yes, I spoke to them seriously.
What do you tell people who say some students are, I mean, is not the best of, he's faint-hearted, he's not the best of brave, you know, people really.
What is a brave man? We've never been tested in any war. What is a brave man? What is a brave man? Bravery is not something you're born with or you cultivate it. It comes naturally under circumstances. Bravery is manifested in people by circumstances. You know, before you know.
But these are clear circumstances that one could really show bravery, right?
You say what?
These are clear circumstances or situations that one can really manifest bravery, right? You don't agree?
Which way?
The way of you getting arrested and taken to mile 2, but you standing your ground.
I don't get it. Like, you know, because like, I don't understand. Because one thing is there. I don't, you know, because look, when you are cornered, for instance, in however weak you are, if you were found in your bedroom with your wife and a giant wants to brutalize your wife, you will probably question where you will get your bravery.
But it will come out.
It will come out in you. That's what they call the animal instinct. We all have it. We are all born with it.
But don't be surprised, some men run away still.
No. But that is because you have not touched their raw nerve yet. You know, like the people they bully, you know, the day you hit their animal instinct, that's the day you see their natural animalistic. Look, in 1990, I was just from America, and my son had fallen ill, and my wife took her to Westfield Clinic, and they spent the night there. And I was with my little boy. We were sleeping. 5 a.m., you know, Urda, I wanted to go, and I was going to pray. I pray at 5 a.m. And they called someone at the mosque that was wake me up. And I opened the door and saw a guy right in my bedroom, searching, you know, the opposite bedroom, searching the items there. And I was like dumbfounded, who the heck is this guy? And I said, who are you? He just pulled out a knife, this long, and attacked. And I fended it with my hand. He almost shivered my right thumb. And then, you know, like, swing again and stab me here. But it was a nail brush.
But you fought back.
My animal instincts came.
You defended yourself?
Yeah, that's my animal instinct, you know. And then he tried to run out. And I said, he's not going to go. And we fought for almost 20 minutes, violently, until he was subdued. And we put him in a car, and I took him to the police. But then, you know, when I go there, in fact, when I went into the police station, the police officer told me, hey, sir, you should have left it. Because the neighbors came, they wanted to kill him, because somebody was killed like that in that street. And they said, you should have left this guy to be killed. This guy is a menace in the society. You should have left. I said, no.
I have to take
I have to, because he is subdued, he is helpless. I have to bring him to court. You know, but what I'm trying to explain to you is that, you know, everybody was saying, didn't he know that he was in a soldier's house? It was not a matter of being a soldier. It was my instinct. I had a 4-year-old kid who was, while we were fighting, he stood there, he was watching at us. That guy could have killed me in the front of my child. All those put the drive in me to fight back.
To fight back. And
you go to Liberia, the most vicious fighters were 12 years, 15 years. In fact, you know that the Americans were recruiting young fighters from Kenya, from South America, to take them to Iraq to fight for them. Did you know that? Kids. Soldiers.
I didn't know that.
Soldiers were recruited.
I didn't see that anywhere.
Oh, yes. There's a documentary on it. Go and look for it.
Don't you think that documentary is some conspiracy theory document? But away from that, and then you were released. You wrote a book, but then you had left the country. This book, you said things really that made you to be in the bad books of Jammeh. For years.
No, in fact, before I wrote the book, I wrote a lot because I revealed all the things that was in the book. Before I even wrote the book, I was the first one to talk about the execution of the soldiers at Yundum Barracks, where they were buried. All those things, I revealed them. I talk about things that nobody had ever heard about the army because I was an insider, you know, because I was upset. I was upset, and I also narrated things that really hurt me about what went wrong, you know. Although later on, when I mature out of my anger and frustration, I regretted a lot of things I mentioned in the book, including how I really treated certain officers that I thought deserved better treatment.
Does that include Jammeh? Because for years,
no.
For years,
yes.
Not
only Jammeh, even my colleagues.
That stopped you from coming to this
Even
country.
my colleagues, yes.
Because
even my colleagues.
He classified your book as a bunch of lies.
Yes.
You know, he didn't really
Did you read
appreciate
it?
all the...
Did you read it?
Coup d'etat, I didn't.
You should have, before you even invite me here.
I did not read the book, but what was clear, blatant enough, was the fact that Jammeh was not happy with you, and that was what you went into exile.
Yeah. Not only Jammeh, but many of my colleagues whom I mentioned in the book were not happy with me. And later on, I reconciled with them, and I regretted the way I mentioned them in the book. Because I was...
How about Jammeh? Because you apologizing to Jammeh.
No, wait a minute. Yes. Did you hear me apologize to him?
But you reconciled with him.
Thank you.
At some point, you said you regretted all you said in the book.
No, I did not say that. I did not say that I regretted all I said in the book. Because you know what? I wish you had read the book. The book is mainly about my autobiography. Dealt with when I left the Gambia to go and study. People I met. Even the first woman I wanted to marry. You know, how I decided to leave America to come and join the army in the Gambia. Or how I got into the army. My family members. I talk about my father who used to have a truck that when you put it on gear number 4, some child used to hold it before it snaps out. These are facts. You know, how can I come and say these were not true? I talk about how my mother was so obsessed with jujus that 24 hours he would bring me, take this juju, take this. These are facts. In fact, it's a little segment in that book that I mentioned about the coup. You know, and of course, I talk about how it could have been avoided, you know, and in the process, I named officers whom I felt should not have even been commanders at the barracks, yes. You know. But looking back, I said, well, after all, it went peacefully. And maybe if these people were not there, it could have been very violent, and the consequence would have been drastic. And if I was afraid of violence, then perhaps why don't I accept the fate that these people acted in a way that really contributed in the process going peacefully, and we recover to live another day to even talk about it or think about it. You know, like I talk about Davis, who was a very gentle, good gentleman. He was an engineer, but he was the deputy commander to the Nigerian. You know, I talk about him in a way that I regretted, because Davis was a gentleman. But I said, well, you know, because he was not an infantry officer, he probably did not care about what was going in the infantry unit, which probably Davis was the best person in there. I talk about even Baji, the national security advisor now. He was in charge of Charlie Company as the captain. And his lieutenants took over the company to organize the coup. And he couldn't stop them. Sonko, the late Sonko, may his soul rest in peace, he was the commander of B Company. His lieutenants took over his company to attack Fajara barracks. In fact, they forced him to join them. You know, and everything went smoothly. Perhaps if you had the right officers, if you had, let's say, like Conte, or maybe even Babakar Jatta, or somebody who would resist, the killing would have started in the barracks. Like what happened in 1981. The killing started at the barrack. Kikale Balde who had the key to the armory. They asked for the armory, he refused, they killed him.
They were shot on that.
Yes. So it could have started the killing, and if the killing had started, then it would have continued, because it's contagious. The blood would have been felt. I saw 1981, how the weakest Gambians gentleman, you know, I remember boys in our street, you know, drink attire, smoke weed. When Coup asked for weapons, for help, they all went to the barracks. And they were given AK-47s. They came and occupied the streets. They were looting and fighting with the Senegalese. You know, so this thing could have happened. That is why 1994, when I met them at the bridge, I told them, don't start firing. Because the reason why the country is tranquil is because they think we are having an exercise with the Americans. If one shot is fired, or if the bandits have a hint of the fact that this is a coup, they will start their own coup by going into a rampage and probably looting people's properties.
So these were the considerations for you then at the time?
Oh yeah, I told them. I told them at the break when I met them there. I told them at the break. And it was there that, you know, I told them even that, look, the Americans are coming. They have their amphibious tanks. You probably will hear about this amphibious. Everybody called me amphibious. Yeah. Because I use amphibious, because I saw the amphibious tanks. Sar, you know, like he was in the command, MB Sar. He came with the vessels, and we received them 21st. With Bunjak, we went there, and they came out with the amphibious tanks and swam all over. And I told them, these people, if you shoot an American, you got to fight some amphibious tanks.
But what do you have to say about Mr. Sar has mastered survival skills?
Well, at that particular time,
yes,
that was a good survival skill.
Yes.
Yes, at that particular time. But I have also, you know, run into situations that I did not have any way to survive. You know, it's like
but that. To confront them head on.
No. But what I'm saying is, like, challenges are different. You probably have never been faced with a challenge where your life is at stake. You know, and
yes, I have. I have, for example, an accident. I have faced an accident.
Yeah, but then those are very, you know, I have run into so many accidents.
Yes.
you know, car accident.
Yeah, car accident.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, I'm not talking about that. But like, say, you come to where you know your life is at stake because of, you know, an unexpected situation where it involves perhaps an opponent, an antagonist, an angry person trying to treat you wrong. You know, how you survive there. You know, those
kind of
because
circumstances.
When what I did at mile 2 was a survival of a life and death magnitude
situation. People say you that you exaggerated the events there.
What?
It wasn't as bad or as serious as you thought it was.
No. I knew what happened. I told you.
You said everything.
I told you. Look.
Yes.
You know, you cannot kill 3 people and then started joking and laughing about it when leaving. That's not the human brain is not wired like that. It's not. You know, the first time you deploy soldiers in a battlefield, this is during the Vietnam War, it's been scientifically established. First soldiers in a battlefield, never been in a war place. When they see the enemy, they don't aim straight to kill him. 80% of them.
What do they do? They hesitate.
Not only they hesitate, but they shoot to avoid hitting him directly, either in the air or they will miss, because the human instinct is not to kill. Only psychopaths can kill and enjoy it and live with it.
Were the soldiers psychopaths?
No, but they said the animal instinct to fight back happens when they start seeing their comrades being killed. That is when they start, at least for the first time, aiming and killing. And guess what? When you start killing, you lose a lot of your humanness. I used to see this captain called Captain Bolo. He was from the Philippines. We were training together in America. Very popular guy, because he was in a jungle of Mindanao fighting insurgents, Muslim insurgents. And he told me, we were very close together, and he told me one day, look, sir, when you are around killers, those who enjoy killing, he said, you fear them. I said, what do you mean? He said, they start growing hair where you have never seen hair. Their eyebrows get so bushy, their fingernails turn into claws. They start growing hair where only animals grow hair. And you know, like these people, in fact, they used to conspire to sometimes even kill some of them.
But that is not always the case, is that?
Look,
always the case.
Look, if it is
You've
not the
seen
case,
a lot of, killers.
All right,
You know,
no.
Self-confessed killers.
Yes, but if that was not the case, you look at the consequence of war on human psychology. You read about post-traumatic PTSD. After Iraq, America was faced with one of these problems. Every day, 22 Marines will shoot themselves, kill themselves because of PTSD. Because it kills you psychologically.
Now, the Jammeh years, since you left the country, you wrote your book and fled to the US.
Yes.
You spent the larger chunk of it condemning Jammeh and his dictatorship. That is what you did.
Yes.
And then the U-turn. You know, at some point, people said something, sir, it was tough for him in the US. Life wasn't really good for him out there, and he wanted to come home. He was homesick. You know, you started writing all this nice stuff about Jammeh. But that's where it started. You started, like when I was at the Standard, you were writing in a lot of articles. You know, praising Jammeh, writing, you know, beautiful articles, really.
Yes.
What can you tell us about your reconciliation?
Oh, good. That's a good question.
Yes.
That's a good question. Okay, now, you know, after a while, I was angry in America. When I arrived in America, I was very angry because all of a sudden I lost my job that I love most. I was commander, I was living, you know. Of course, it was a very great challenge of being a commander, but the suddenness and the lies behind why Jammeh took me out was really that made me, it gave me the feeling of being betrayed. So I left, and that anger really took me over. Everything I was thinking about was, how can the regime in the Gambia to be changed, Jammeh out, because he offended me very well. You know, I used to talk to him almost every night on the phone. You know, Jammeh will call us in his office almost twice in the week. We discuss policies, we discuss strategies. When he comes to certain matters, we discuss it and we come out with solutions. You know, when, you know, Farafenni was attacked, you saw me, I conducted the press release. Yes. Kartong, we went there, you know. And, you know, like all those things, all of a sudden was, you know, Guinea-Bissau and all that. All of a sudden, one day, somebody went and told him that this is what Saad did, which was not right. He never even called me or even called Saad to explain. They retired me.
What was it that they say you did?
Huh?
What was it that they said, they accused you of? Oh, well, someone might say, okay,
yeah,
something was in fact...
No. I mean, like, it is in my book, but, I mean, it had to do with my salary. You know, I was raised from a deputy commander to a commander's position. You know, I don't want to explain this. You know, I was raised...
I think you should.
I was raised to the deputy commander and the commanders, and then for the first time, you have a chief of defense staff. You know, and they needed a salary for the chief of defense staff and, you know, like, commander. So I inherited the commander's salary. You know, it was, you know, if you look at the commander then, you know, so, but the chief of defense staff felt my salary was too much for me, that I should not get that. I said, look, heads of services all are paid. I am a head of service. So this is what we argue about. But he wanted my salary to be cut down, you know. And I said, no, that's not right. So we argued about this, and they went, you know, they reported me to Jammeh that I fought him and broke his arm.
Did you fight him?
No, I did not. I did not even come close to fighting him. But there were officers who wrote and back it up that I fought him. You know, so Jammeh just, of course, probably he was scared that if Sam, my commander, should be fighting his immediate, next time he's going to fight me. So that day, they was dismissed and everything. In fact, I understand the order was to even arrest me. But the reporter felt it was going to be too extreme to arrest me. So he said, no, let's just get him out. So they retired me with all my benefit and asked me to go home. But it was traumatic. You know, I was taken out of my house. My guards taken away, my vehicles, everything was done. You know, it was very nasty. You know, but then it really torn me, my heart against the government. It was a U-turn. You know, I know very dignified, you know, very dignitaries who came to my house, imams who came and said, no, this is wrong. We're going to talk to Jammeh. I said, no, please leave it like that. Because the way I am surprised, if I am surprised a second time, which I know this is false, I could be killed. But he will know later that this is not right.
Why did you all the time had your mind on you getting killed?
No, because you are in a military regime. In a military regime, life and death is just like that.
It's not that bad, is it?
No, it is. You know, go to Ghana, go to Ghana. Rollins will just round up.
Rollins.
You go to Abacha, you know, in fact, I always say that if the Nigerians hadn't had a problem in 1994, the only solution with the coup d'etat plan would have been to round up the soldiers, take them a quick court-martial, sentence them to death, take them to the firing range, and shoot them.
That would have been the simplest.
That's what they do. That's what happened in military regimes. And they send people with the mindset of military regimes. This guy, what's his name? General Abubakar Dada, who was one of the greatest coup busters. In 1990, when they tried to overthrow Abacha, he was the one who rolled into the army headquarters and busted these guys, this major who overthrew Babangida, almost overthrew Babangida, killed most of these guys, arrested him, they took them to court-martial, and they executed them. The guy who ordered the firing squad to fire the guy and kill them was Audu. He was the company commander. He was the commander at Yundum Barracks. The prosecutor of the mutineers was Takai. He was our army lawyer from Nigeria. So the team that really busted that coup d'etat was the team that Babangida sent here to protect Jawara. That is why they sent the elite who would have busted this coup. If they had, there was no problem. But would Gambia have understood at that time? Dada, rounding of Jammeh, Singate, Sabali, Haidara, taking them quick court-martial, take them to the ring and shoot them because they were supposed to organize a coup. How would that have resonated in the Gambia? But this is it. It's a life and death. Soldiers with weapons, to be honest with you,
you were never comfortable. Soldiers with weapons.
Oh yes, because I know they could go crazy. Ekumahoni yes, went to work. He was the deputy commander. He found the soldier on sentry, Danso.
Yes.
Just when he was about to open his office, he ran and killed him in cold blood.
Yes, that happened.
So those things happen in military camps when especially the soldiers are in a very bad mood. That is why you have to treat them with care.
With care. But your reconciliation with Jammeh,
yes,
why did you come back to him?
No, it's not a matter of, yes, it's not a matter of coming back to him like such. You know, like I said, I started looking at my fortunes after a while and said, thank God that I left the Gambia. When I was leaving the Gambia, I couldn't even start a computer. I took all my family, including my boys. My boys went and found America as the best that has ever happened to them. The institutions, the schools. And my boy, up to the day, who is an electrical engineer, you know, a manager in a company, he will tell me the best thing you have ever done for us, Dad, was to bring us here. You know, I don't know how it would have ended as an army commander. So I started looking at the bright side of life. I said, sometimes when they say, the elders will say, when God is doing his good things, you think he is destroying. But this is a sign. So I relaxed and started feeling, look, after all, this is more of a victory than a failure. You know, I have acquired a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge in going back to America. You know, saw things, did things that I never thought in my life I could do. You know, I was in an engineering company that I was a team leader, going to fix major industrial and residential equipment, machines, and all that. You know, and I loved it. Now, okay, as I was there, at the middle of everything, you know, and then in the end also, when I called even some of my family members in the Gambia, they don't want to talk to me because everybody was like, "Yo reka des di attack Jammeh, deka bi yepang ko love. Jammeh ngay defar deka bi, Jammeh ngay defar ni, mu ngay yobu nit ñi Makka, mu ngay may li, deka ba ngi nice, yow yaay koy nekk fi li." You know, when I was leaving, this guy, what's his name? Abdoulaye Wade was not even president, but all of a sudden I saw he fraternized with Abdoulaye Wade. You know, he was respected internationally. During the war on terrorism, he cooperated with America like this. I knew about these things. So I became a lone fighter. And I used to have friends.
But you was never a lone fighter.
Listen to me. I used to have friends who would tell me, who would use fake names in writing, attacking, but every year they will come to the Gambia to build a house, visit their families. My mother, listen, my mother died, I couldn't come. My uncle died, my grandma, who was more or less a mother to me, died, I couldn't come. And then they would say, hey, don't mention my name. They did not even know, they want to know that I was a friend to them. Then it climaxed when Ansu Jammeh, who is Jammeh's brother, married the daughter of my wife's brother. My wife, his brother, her brother, whom they joined the same mother and father, had a daughter that Ansu Jammeh married through the negotiation of Jammeh. So he became part of the family. And Ansu was so great. Everybody would talk about Ansu. You know, I couldn't say much. If I continued knowing the mentality of the Gambian, I would have even probably fallen apart with the family of my wife. And, you know, people were taking care of their business. I know a lot of people who say, the revolution. They leave and come here and do their things and come back.
So you think that you were being used by these people?
Yeah, I felt I was probably, no, I felt I was probably overzealous. Maybe I should just sit back and watch life nature to take its own course. Besides, I did not lose much in leaving the country. Things that made me angry were not worth being angered about. You know, so I am now looking at a world where I have evolved to a level where things are great. So I stopped attacking him. I stopped.
You stopped attacking him?
No, listen to me. I stopped attacking him until, you know, Ansu in fact was the first to tell me, look, I want you to reconcile with Jammeh, you know. Tell my wife, you know. And I said, but, you know, all he wants is just for you to write an apology letter to him. Yes. And then, you know, we reconcile. You know, and I said, no, I cannot do that. And I sought that chapter. Then in 2015, Sheikh Omar Faye was posted to Washington, D.C.
as ambassador.
Yes. And he contacted me through my that friend, Lieutenant Kamara, who died. He surrounded, and we started talking. And then he also came up with this idea. And, you know, he is great. He got into my heart. You know, this war, we have to forget about the past, live together as people. The same way he talks today. He really got into my heart. Just you can write a letter, you know, and we all come together and be one.
But before the letter that you wrote to the president, you were writing a lot of opinion
No. Before that, 2015.
2015, 14, 15.
No, 2015, that's when I reconciled with him.
With him, yes.
Yeah, and then, you know, because...
When he came to New York, you met him, and then you later came to the Gambia.
Yes. No, because when I was, you know, it evolved from when I wrote a letter to him. I wrote a letter to him to satisfy that, you know, because he wanted a letter. Everybody was saying, hey, if you write him a letter, he's going to publish it and make you look foolish. I said, no, he's not going to publish this. I don't think he's going to make me foolish. I think he's genuine in his approach in asking me to write to him. I will write to him genuinely. And I wrote to him a very genuine letter, you know, and explained to him why I was angry and I was talking the way I talked against him. And that very month, he came to to the UN and invited me. And we met, and I remember when we first met at the UN, you know, all these Aida Oba, Tangara, all of them were there. He took the Quran and said, Billahi, Wallahi, Talahi.
Nothing was going to happen to you when you come to Gambia.
Everything I was going to forgive you, you know, we are going to be, you know, like we have reconciled. I have nothing in my heart. You know, before the coup, we were best friends. You know, we had never had any friction. You know, so I know the coup, he was elevated to a level that, you know, I couldn't compete him or challenge him anymore. I accepted even being a subordinate to him, regardless of the fact that I was above him one time, you know, and I served him with all my heart. I served him when he appointed me commander, you know, because what I love about his government also was the fact that throughout the previous government, throughout the life of the Jawara regime, the Gambia had never had soldiers who were not under command of foreign bodies. Since 1909, the first time they created an armed forces by the British in Quinala, and it evolved to Salikene, you know, the army that went to First and Second World War. They were, in fact, that army, they did not allow even Africans to become officers. All were white people. That army was a colonial army that helped in fighting the tribal war of the British and the Germans in the Second World War. And after that, the British had no use of it in the Gambia, although they left them for the rest of Africa. In 1959, they disintegrated that army and reduced it to the field force and gave it to a very useless man called Coup, who was a sergeant in the British army, and he came to become the commander. But they were all running the structure, the principle, and the dynamics of a colonial army.
Colonial army.
And guess what? You know, it continued like that. When the field force broke, Senegalese took over. When we were sick and tired of the Senegalese, the British took over. The British did not take it right. They brought the Nigerians. They took over. Yes. And when the coup happened, for the first time, it was left in our hands. Gambians. We were the Gambians who used to sit down and think about our problems and look at what the threat of our country was and design the army in preparation to deal with it. That is why in 1996, we did not hesitate to go and confront the mercenaries from Liberia and defeated them. In 1997, we did not hesitate to confront the attack at Khartoum. In 2014, the soldiers did not hesitate to confront the attackers who came at a time.
You always had a problem with that, the attackers. But
yes,
you didn't speak at the time. At the time, I think it was only later when you started reconciling properly.
Yes, because
that you started condemning that attack.
Oh yes, because you know, no. At the time, at the time, I had reconciled. But what I'm trying to tell you is that when I woke up to the reality that maybe I was too zealous and look at the world, because we evolve. You know, they used to say that, you know, Hillary Clinton, Biden, all of them endorsed the attack of Iraq in 2003 when George Bush came and sold the idea at the Senate and Congress. Only Barack Obama stood and condemned it and said this is a wrong war, a dumb war, he called it. You know, and after Bush was voted out, everybody wanted Barack Obama to concentrate in prosecuting Bush for misleading the Americans into a war that has cost them so many lives and resources. In an African country, we would have had a 20 years TRRC on Bush. But there was an economic crisis in 2008, and Obama said, I have a better priority than to turn on to Bush. Now he is Bush's best friend. You know, even Bush has now, you know, turned more or less from a Republican dynamite to now a sympathizer of the Democratic Party because of Trump.
Quickly.
So you see, I'm just trying to give you a general scenario of how
Politics can be sometimes.
Politics is not, you cannot be rigid. They say Sigmund Freud and all those, big psychoanalysis, and Franz Fanon, they used to tell you that, if you read their books, they will tell you that the person who gets mad quickly is the person who is not flexible in the mind.
And you were very flexible, and your reconciliation led to your appointment as an ambassador. You came, you met Jammeh, and then you got a job.
Yes. No. Listen to me. That day when I reconciled with him in
that was
America,
when he offered you a job?
He offered me the job that day. Amadou Samba was there. Lamin Manga was there. Unfortunately, this guy has died. What's his name? Carl Bayo, who was the Secretary General. Tangara would bear me witness. Tangara said they even cleaned an office for me to become the first secretary at the embassy. And he told me, I have your letter.
And you pounced on this job, you took it?
No, I did not. First day, I refused to take it. And I told him, look, I'm not here for a job.
But you took it eventually?
Listen, all right, listen to how it evolved. You talking about sometimes, you sounding as if I was desperate to take this job.
Not at all.
Yeah,
not at all.
Because when you say, you took it, it's like, so what happened was, when he told me about it, I think that's mine.
Yes, okay, yeah.
When he told me about it, and I said, look, to be honest with you, I am not here for a job. I am here to, reconciliation.
Yes.
And we had a nice chat, and I even brought some recommendations on what I thought he should improve in his policies at that time. This guy would bear me witness, what's his name? Amadou Samba and Lamin Manga. I named names, and the final word he told me, in fact, I thought I have a problem. I had a good job. I was receiving about $30 an hour working for this company, Frontline Industries. They are still there. I was good. And my boys were doing fine in college, schools.
But you would appear you were a little homesick.
No, I was not. Although I did not see the end of his regime. And I said, eventually, when I retire, I would want to go home and probably start a business. And I started even planning that, thinking along those lines. Ask Tangara, I used to tell him that I was not interested in even the UN job, because I did not like the UN. UN was too robotic for me. There were no thinkers. You go this way, the African groups will vote this way, everybody votes that way. Yeah, we got to abstain, we all abstain. We are not go against this. It's nothing like we sit down and brainstorm and look at what we should do and what we should not do. So
that was one of the things that you learned at the United Nations?
Oh yes. One of the things I hated about the United Nations was that we are all regimented in a way that is just like conformation. Like the people who really talk.
What would you say was your achievement at the UN in pushing Gambia's?
All right. One thing we tried. All right. It's a formality. It's all trying to go into like routine stuff. Let me put it that way, routine. Mm-hmm. What has been happening in the United Nations for the past 70 years since its inception is still the same routine that happens there. The same orderly order of organizing meetings, conference rooms, discussing, policies, articles, passing them, and there are the Security Council permanent members. Those are the people, those are the countries in control of the United Nations. Regardless of how crazy they act in this world, China, they listen to them and they can influence the trajectory of the United Nations. China is the most dictatorial and oppressive government in the world. But they listen to China when he talks, because it's the economic dynamics that control the world. Russia will do any nonsense.
What did you see about Little Gambia at the UN?
Well, we were just followers. We were just part of the whole African group. We are just there to continue accepting the conditions that were left with us since colonialism.
How did you feel about that?
We never sit down to question them. We never sit down to question. Listen to this. In in 2016, Jammeh came up with a resolution where he wanted us to pursue a UN resolution so that Europeans will reparation resolution for Africa, for our enslavement, our colonization, and our underdevelopment. He sent this to the United Nations. It was very interesting because South Africa tried it, they failed. The Caribbeans, they tried it, they failed. So when it came in, I remember I was in the forefront of those who were going to justify it. And the South African ambassador invited me to his office and gave me a team to explain what Gambia has come up differently that they have not pursued before and think it will work, because we were trying to get, supporters to start to and get it, at least recognized and the draft started. You got to win countries that will come with you. And we came up with a new nice story. In fact, that is when we first even requested that we need additional people to come and help us. And 2 guys were sent. The current, he's at the UN, I forgot his name. Njai was there, Jaite, he's the Jaite legal officer. They all came to come and help us. And when I went there, they asked us, what do you think you can tell us differently that South Africa did not do? I say, you know what? Because South Africa pursued this at a different time. Mm-hmm. When the Europeans were asked to pay for the damages they have done to Africa, what we are going to tell the Europeans is the destruction of Africa is having a ripple effect on their civilization and the paradise they have built in destroying Africa. Because Africa, starting from the slave trade, developed Europe. Walter Rodney's How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, if you read it, tells you about how our continent was exploited. Not only our resources, but in human. Over 10 million people were killed trying to cross to the Atlantic, to the Americas, to work in the sugar plantations, cocoa plantations, and tobacco plantations, just to satisfy the insatiable taste of sugar for Europe. Because in the Middle Ages, Europeans did not know sugar. They used to import them from the Arab world at some abominable prices. And they used it for few delicacies. But then, when they discovered America and saw the gold mines and built their plantations, sugar became abundant. And now, for the first time, Europeans started sugaring their coffees, their cocoas, and their teas. And then cakes came. And it was the most lucrative business in the world. It controlled the world market. The Amsterdam stocks, the Paris stocks, the London stocks were all built under this. And these are the people who developed Europe. So what they did was, the middlemen, the businessmen, the middlemen, they chipped in on these stocks for the slave traders. They took those, built their ships, hire armies, get some men, came to Africa, snatched slaves, and even waged wars to snatch slaves, sold them to America, took the tobacco, the sugar, go back. That's the triangular Atlantic slave trade. So you see, so this is what happened in the European. So we told them, look, you develop Europe through these niceties. Europe was developed through these niceties. But now, you went too extreme. You destroyed the Middle East in the process too. You destroyed Iraq. You have destroyed Libya. You have destroyed other areas. Now there is an overwhelming drive of refugees, number of refugees going into Europe and disturbing the civilization and the tranquility they were enjoying. Now you cannot get a peaceful restaurant in Europe enjoying without gunmen coming, Islamic gunmen coming. So their worst nightmare is the migration. And we are all migrating because they underdeveloped Europe, Africa. And what we wanted to present was that if you help in restoring what you have destroyed in Africa, it will stop at least the migration from Africa and limit the pressure you guys are facing.
This was the argument.
No, this is the resolution we sold to the United Nations, that we are not saying pay us. We are saying let's do it for our mutual interest. If you help us develop and get out of this poverty, Europe will also enjoy their peace and tranquility. We will not bother you with migrants running into your place. But if you don't, we are coming. You know, I spoke to certain European ambassadors and they love it. They were like, yeah, that sounds interesting. And for the first time, we got traction. We got the team, and they studied it, and the resolution was about to be submitted when these changes happened.
When this change came, because we are going to go there, that was when your administration started having problems. You were right there when this was happening. What happened in 2015, you know, the Solo Sandeng protest came, the Dabo protest came, the UDP protest came, and at some point when Dabo and Co were going to court, you were even caught on, there was this leaked tip that, you know, came out to say you were a diplomat, but someone who, you know, was a soldier before, you spoke in the way of a soldier. You said they could have been killed, and a lot of people said Samsudin Sar was advocating for the use of force on peaceful protesters. Yes,
because you know what
do you have to say about that? They could be killed.
But you know what?
Some said that you even said that if it were you on the ground, you would have killed them.
I'll open fire.
Yes.
All right. Let me put that. Let's get that into perspective. You know, there was this guy who came to the day after this Solo Sandeng issue happened. I was not even aware of it. You know, I just heard the rumors that there was a demonstration and some guy called Solo Sandeng was killed. And I say, wow, what happened? We did not know anything about it. Then, all of a sudden, they said there is a guy, a Rasta guy who was looking for me, probably stone and all that, I don't know. Then he came, you know, and everybody was avoiding him. And it was like, hey, fuck, let me just put this back. Sorry.
Yes, sure.
Everybody was avoiding him. And they said, Dela, you know, our secretary said, Mr. Sir, that is the guy, you know, he's like very, you know, he's upset. He said he want to see somebody about the Solo Sunday. I said, yeah, send him in. Then he came and I sat him. Just before he came, he walked in and he sat down, and then my secretary called me, Della. He went, before you come. I come. He said, I saw him. He looks like he's trying to turn on a tape. I said, don't worry. So I felt, yes, he was recording me. Then we sat down. Then he was very provocative. He said, why did you guys kill Solo Sunday in a peaceful demonstration? I said, no, my friend, I don't know where you were. But I remember after this guy was voted, what's his name? Compaoré, when the Burkina Faso people, Burkinabés, came out and demonstrated and got him out of office, it sent a message across the world that demonstrations can take out soldiers, governments now. And I had the fundraising all over America. The radios saying, let's raise funds and agitate for a demonstration. We go to the streets, talponoi, that was the word they were saying, that's the top word, they didn't talponoi in the streets. And then we burn down the country, Jammeh will go. I remember distinctly Ahmad Ba being called one day and asked him, we are going to come and do this, and they said they're not part of it. OJ, I heard him even saying that he was not going to part of it. And it went on. They were raising funds about, and Duga, which was also another organization, they said they were going to even come and spearhead the demonstration. Didn't you hear that?
There was a lot of things that was.
Yeah, they said they were going to So it was something that was raised, and until I heard that they talked to Solo Sadek and he said he was going to do it. Let him just send the funds. And I understand that the funds were sent to Dhaka, where he went and picked them up and came for the demonstration. And he mobilized people whom he thought will do it. Okay. And, you know, at that time, I did not, I knew about that. I said, if it is what I was hearing all along, that there was a mobilization to come and burn the country down just to change the government. If I am in charge of that government, but I will open fire to anybody who stands in the streets.
But how could you do that? Because clearly,
listen,
clearly this was no such
it was
thing.
Not. It was not. But that
no
was
such thing to burn down the country. I was there when Solo Sanding went out.
Yes, but
may he rest in peace.
Yes, he did not do that. But that was the intention, because when Solo Sanding...
That was not the intention, clearly, because we were on the ground, we were here.
I'm not talking about Solo Sanding.
Yes.
I'm not talking about the intention of the sponsors. Just like in 2000, the sponsors who came here in 2014 came to shoot their way and overthrow the government, right? And when they died, they say Jammeh was too brutal. They were just trying to scare them and so on. You don't do that. I'm telling you, I'm following the development of this from day one. We took about 3 months, GoFundMe. They raised up money, and it was like they thought it was going to gather momentum if he stand at, if I want electoral change, I will go to the IEC headquarters.
But it is the citizens' right,
yes,
to protest.
I agree.
That is the citizens' right.
I agree.
And there was no such thing to indicate that these people are out to burn down the country. It was a very simple protest. It was a very simple demonstration.
I agree.
All they did was to raise banners.
I agree. Yes, I agree.
We want electoral reform. That is all that they did.
Yes, I agree.
But Samsar sat there.
No. What I said was not that I was not against a peaceful demonstration if it is conducted the right way.
But this was a peaceful demonstration.
Listen to me.
Yes.
Was there a permission given to them to protest?
But we know that this is a colonial law that is out there to truncate the rights of the citizen.
Yes, yes. The colonial law that you are quoting, that to truncate, was the colonial law that in the 60s, when Ken Street Vu got up to organize a demonstration because some Sidibe was being maltreated because of some Lebanese who were maltreating him, treating him like a second-class citizen in the Gambia. The boys went into the streets for a peaceful demonstration. Some of them were beaten to almost death, and this Sar was deported as a Gambian who was at Form 6, was deported from the country and called Senegalese. What I'm trying to tell you in the end is that it could have gone either way. It could have degenerated into the uprising, the ungovernable intention these people had from Europe, that let's render the country ungovernable, because he went with PA system, moving around. It didn't gather momentum because probably even people who are around.
But in fact, he didn't move around.
These
people just only gathered near the cooperative, near the Nawek. That was where they gathered. Just a few people, and all they did was to use a PA system and to wave their banners. And all of a sudden, the security came, the PIU came, all the security came, the NIA. And then they were dispersed. They were arrested. Others that ran away. So it wasn't anything elaborate. It wasn't anything to say.
I agree to that. I agree to that. But what I'm telling you is, the guy who came to attack me, to ask questions that day, did not explain it this way. He was telling me as if this was an innocent thing that came from nowhere, and overnight it happened and Asolo Sandeng was dead. What I just explained to you was, this was a conspiracy that was cooked from abroad, sponsored from abroad, and despite paid to come and cause an ungovernable country that could have degenerated into anything. It could have. You know, Mali, peaceful demonstration, change government.
But yes,
the Arab uprising, peaceful demonstration, change government. Burkina Faso, change government.
And when these people were arrested and then taken, statements were extracted from them, it was very clear that these people were never out to burn the country. You were a top official in that government. What do you make of the fact that your government went ahead and killed this man?
That was wrong. I said that was wrong. I don't know the circumstances. Not only killing him was wrong, but, you know, like hiding his body somewhere was wrong. You know, like.
But you didn't condemn it.
No. Listen to me. The evolution of detention at that time, you don't just go and, I did not know the implications, what happened. I did not. You know, and like I said, I am very careful in how I approach. And when you work for a government, you have to be very careful in when to condemn them, and when it comes to especially life and death matters. You have to be very careful in when to condemn them and when you don't. You know, like if you look at, like I always quote, you know, bigger countries like America. You know, when Donald Trump was going for the position of president, Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, you know, all those big shots condemn him and say he's not even fit to be a president. But afterwards, they all rallied behind him because of the party affiliation and the loyalty to the party. So, you know, what he does sometimes is out of this world. How many people, they said, about 70,000 Americans could have been saved if he had not hidden the severity of the COVID-19, which he had known about and disclosed in his interview with Bob Woodruff recently, but he trivialized it and said he did it deliberately because he did not want to create panic and affect the stock market. You know, so, but have you heard the Republicans condemning him for the 70,000 lives that could have been saved? So you see, you got to be, as a journalist, listen to me, as a journalist, you could be, you cannot rule, you cannot be, your mind, you cannot align your mindset to the administrator who is in there running a government. If you want to measure,
but one can point out,
yes,
his administration's, you know, transgressions.
Which is right.
One can do that. That is
right.
Stopping an official from pointing out a wrong. If your government does something wrong,
yes,
it becomes on you.
If I have the facts, if I know the facts.
So you didn't have the facts?
I did not.
But it was so clear. At a few days after the incident, it was so clear.
I told you
that your government, what it did was so wrong.
Listen.
It was everywhere.
All right.
So
listen,
why couldn't you get the facts?
Listen. Where were you at that time?
I was here.
What did you do?
In this country.
What did you do?
Well, what I did might sound very interesting to you, but I planned a counter-protest with the family of Mr. Sandek.
And what happened?
But clearly, it was a family that was in shock and in mourning that couldn't go through.
Why didn't you go somewhere else instead of the family? If you are that vigilant and
but I wanted the family to be part and parcel of this, because in as much as
this is not about family matter, because there were so many families that are affected.
It certainly was. I want the family to be part and parcel of this. But what I'm saying is, it was very obvious that what Jammeh and his government did was so wrong.
Yeah.
Was so wrong in killing an innocent man.
Listen.
Who didn't do anything at all.
Listen.
Yes.
You want to tell me that, you know, everybody can click. I told you that I was there when they were scouting for people to organize a demonstration in this country. And they were not thinking about, I have seen.
But these are not Mr. Sandeng and his group. These are not Mr. Sandeng and his group.
They called Sandeng and told him about it, and he accepted to take over the responsibility. I know
of burning the country down?
Not necessarily, but organizing a demonstration and request for electoral reform.
Because the thing is,
and, you know, like you see, you know why I don't want to talk about Solo Sandeng? You know, I hate the fact that he died. And I respect his life, and I wish him, you know, a better place in life. And I regretted why he died. But these are government things that not only Solo Sandeng, but so many people have died in trying to challenge governments, you know, and, you know, you respect that it is only governments that sometimes make these type of mistakes and get away with it. only governments. A government could come on a wrong intelligence and invade a country and kill millions and then get away with it because it was a mistake. That was a mistake. That if you want to hold us...
You're saying the slaying of Solo Sunday was a mistake?
Yeah.
I don't see it as a mistake. I see it as a deliberate act.
No,
on the part of a government that really do not respect its citizens. That is what I see, clearly.
Well, then that's too extreme to me. Because governments, let me tell you, there is a limitation where they can allow. Do you know how many, like innocent people, they say, so-called, are destroyed, are killed by governments because they step beyond the bounds.
But there is no bounds here.
Oh yeah, because you know what? I was in America. I was here when they were raising funds, when everything, and we still have evidence that he was, convinced, and he was very bold and said he could organize it. But the intention we had over there was not necessarily a peaceful demonstration, but a defiant demonstration that you did not need permit, that you will use PPA system, violating all the rules, and then in the process people will come because they were saying that the country is ripe. All they need is to trigger it, and people will follow it.
If you were the commander-in-chief or the commander of a security force,
yes,
to quell that, you would use live bullets.
No.
Yeah.
If I were on the ground, it has not degenerated into that, But if it had degenerated into the way they were planning it abroad, I will use any means to stop it.
Including the use of live bullets.
Listen, if you are to come and bring down my government and you start burning people's properties, destroying everything,
you will kill them.
Oh, I will shoot.
You will shoot.
If that is what it takes to stop, I will use the force it necessary to stop. Oh yes. That's SOP.
But then this also happened at a time when it was so clear, the writing was so clear on the wall that it was only a matter of time before the collapse of your government.
What do you mean by that?
It was only a matter because clearly you could see the signs that this government, it wasn't sustainable. It was going to die a natural death.
What kind of...
Or even an artificial death, if you like.
Still,
and that is what happened.
No.
That is what exactly happened. The unfortunate killing of Solo Sandeng happened a year or two later. Jammeh's regime ended.
Yeah. How did Jammeh's regime end?
It ended democratically, and it ended. People just exercised, used their vote. They laid what I call a ballot box ambush for him.
Yes.
He fell in their trap, and he was sensationally defenestrated.
Yes. Yes, he was voted out.
Yes.
Yes, he was. I was there that day.
You were there, yes.
At the State House.
At the State House.
When they called the votes and he lost. I was there, and he came, and I was even angry that he never even asked our opinion. He just came. It's over. We have lost. I'm calling tomorrow.
But the man that is defeated, fair and square, would easily accept defeat.
Because I think but later on things evolve. Incidents occurred when a second set of results were mentioned,
People say because when that happened, I was at the IEC day of the election. Yes, the IEC made some errors here and there, but that is just the computation part. It wasn't necessarily a serious error.
Listen.
But people say it was people around him who,
yes,
said he should reject the results.
Listen, yes.
Was this the case?
Listen.
People around him.
Where have you heard? No, I was not here even.
Yes.
Because
you had.
No. Because when I left the State House that day, I never heard from Jammeh until today. I heard from Jammeh again until up to this day. I have never talked to him again. We were there. Mamadou Badji was the national security advisor. He took me there, and Aksigai, who was the ambassador, in Ethiopia, they took me there and said, this is what we do election day. And we were all there with all the ministers. And the computation, which was being done by this Benjamin Roberts, is it Benjamin? Yeah, Benjamin,
tourism minister.
Yes,
then.
He was the one who was responsible for the computation. And by 1 o'clock, we realized that we had lost by 18,000 votes, And when Jammeh came out, he did not even, we were expecting him to say, what do you guys think? You know, but he dismissed us like we did not matter even. It's like, folks, I am not challenging this. Billahi, wallahi, tallahi, I'm not challenging this. This guy has won, and you know, tomorrow I'm going to call Adama Barrow and congratulate him, because you know this is what the Gambian people want, and this thing is a rigged proof. You cannot go wrong in the way we vote in this country. These are the results, and the final results are on, and this is it.
But don't you think that
listen, and we went home.
Jammeh's mind?
Listen, yes. We all went home. I don't know whether, if you ask Baji, we all, in fact, in the vehicle, Axi guy was very vocal, telling, even diagnosing on why he thought Jammeh lost. You know, and you know, he was breaking it down. I was quiet because I was not familiar with what was on the ground. But the following day, I had him congratulating, I had the call and everything, congratulating him. It was on the 5th, I think later on, the 5th or the 6th, when Sidi Njai called me and said, hey, no, something went wrong. These guys have, they have come up with different set of results from what they computed from day one. You know? And I said, so what is happening? No, we are challenging it, he said. I said, wow, I don't know.
What was your advice to Sidi Njai when he said that? What did you tell him?
I did not even know what he was talking about. But he was involved in something that was, so I was pursuing my own thing, planning to go back home in a few days. Because on the 9th was the day I was supposed to leave the Gambia to go back to America. Already I had decided, in fact, I wrote even an article to explain that with all the attacks, demonstrations, and so on, you know, and people were saying that Ali Mohamed Jammeh was paid $400,000 US to rig the elections for Jammeh. All these things have come to nothing. The fact of the matter is, the elections were freely conducted, fairly conducted, and Jammeh has lost. And we should not have died for it. We should not have pushed the limit, attacked the country for it, thinking that the the electoral system was rigged.
Who are those that were crying the night Jammeh lost? When he came out to say that, to swear
at the
State House, when he came out to swear on the Quran that, you know, you guys
No, I did not see anybody crying.
No, I mean, there are reports that some in that hall cried.
I did not see anybody crying.
You didn't see anybody crying?
No, I did not. I don't know. I saw Bojang, Ablai Bojang, who was the speaker, he was the first to even leave. I did not see anybody cry. In fact, Zainab came and hugging people. In fact, later on I had some stupid stories that Jammeh was calling the IEC to add votes or else he's coming to kill them. Or say,
but Jammeh was all the time in his office, so you wouldn't know that, would you? Jammeh was in his office, private office.
No, Jammeh was coming in and out.
That's what I'm saying. He was in his private office, coming in and out, coming to the conference room, if you like, and going back to his office. What Jammeh would do in that office?
Why that sudden change of mind? You are in your office calling the IEC to rig the votes or you kill them, and then the next minute you say, Billahi, wallahi, tallahi, I'm not challenging this result. That doesn't make sense. You are being very biased now the way you are firing your questions. It looks like
I'm not biased.
Yes, because
I want us to have like a like a frank discussion over
the frankness is tilting
because the thing is this was not normal at all, and there was only one man at the time in this country who could do that. And there was Yahya Jammeh. I was at the IEC. We were there. Yeah. And
what day?
You could see pressure all over. Momar Njai. You could see that. And there was only one man who was capable of doing that.
No.
We had opposition leaders who were calling in some of us to find out what was really going on. Because at some point, you have to understand that the announcement was stopped. The IEC chairman had to stop the announcement. That was what happened. And at some point, the IEC chairman,
you know what? When the IEC chairman had stopped announcing the votes, Jammeh had already accepted
defeat. That's what I'm saying. But why all the drama though? Because what I'm saying is the announcement stopped.
Yeah, because you know what?
Announcement stopped.
Why don't you also think that this guy was screwed up with his competition? He's competing, he did not know what they were adding and subtracting. That could have stopped it. And in the end, They came out with numbers 50,000 more than what was voted in.
But that was the final tally. That was the. I'm talking about while the constituencies, which he started announcing each constituency.
Yeah.
That was when the post came. Not very long.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say
was played to people.
You know
outside
what?
Was music.
What I'm trying to tell you is,
Yes.
look. What I am trying to tell you is,
yes.
At the time he paused, at that time Jammeh had we already knew the APRC had lost by 18,000 votes, yes. And Jammeh had.
No, by 12 midnight, a lot, or 12:01.
1 o'clock.
The 1 o'clock.
Yes.
The coalition had already confirmed that they won. Yeah. And Jammeh had already, because your representative on the answers at some point by 1 o'clock disappeared. Nobody could see him. But what I'm saying is, there was pressure all over this man. At some point, this man went to this office. He went to his office and came back without his hat, which was very unusual. Yeah. He stood at one place for like a minute or so, and then he went back without talking to anybody. People were asking him, we wanted to know what was really the problem.
Who was this?
I'm talking about the IEC chairman.
Oh, okay.
So there was only one man, and all of a sudden we started seeing strange people. You know, people that had no business with the IEC compound coming in.
Who are they?
The NIA, of course. You have these very heavily equipped military vehicles passing the Battle Harding Highway, going this way and that.
I did not know anything about this.
You didn't know all this, but clearly there was only one man that was capable of this. But what happened was, you were ambassador, Jammeh rejected. Almost a lot of ambassadors they came out to really, when it was really clear that Jammeh was going, you stayed.
Yeah.
Because
you know what?
By him. Yes.
Because you know what? When they brought in the second set of results, then they said Jammeh lost by 50,000. I understand even he told them that it wasn't 50,000 but 18,000. And that's when they went back to this 18,000. You know, he called their attention. But, and I did not even know. But I think Sidinjai, if I'm not mistaken, told me that they rejected the results based on the second set of results. Which, let me tell you one thing. Listen, all over the world, I have never heard, I've lived long enough to see, I have never had any country that had gone through an elections and have two sets of results and is accepted as normal.
There was no two sets of results here. There was simply a correction.
Listen, the correction, this is not supposed to happen.
There are no sets of results at all. It was perfectly fine.
Listen, yes. You told me just now that it was a computation error.
Yes.
I have seen human error. People have said that. Yes. I am telling you that when it comes to that, it's questionable. When it comes to elections, we determine the fate of a nation, a government, and you tell me there was a mistake in the counting. Is cause for concern and challenge.
So the impasse, who do you blame the impasse on then?
The IEC.
So the IEC caused this impasse?
Yes. Because you know what? Yes. If I were Jammeh even, you know what? When they call and said, we had some mistakes in our computation, and we want you to come and endorse now, different from what you had endorsed at first, because the first set was endorsed. They wanted them to come and endorse the second set of results, and that is when they rejected it. I would have told the IEC chairman to go to the television and make that announcement for the world to know what happened, for clarification.
Because clearly what I see that you want to use that against him. That is what you were trying to do.
Against who?
Against the IEC chairman.
No. Because you know what? When I went back to America, I first called all the ambassadors. Called Omar Faye Tangara and told them Jammeh had accepted, but he rejected this based on what I understand is the second set of results, that they called them and said there was an error in their computation. But Jammeh, instead of sending them to the television, nobody knew in America that there were second set of results, a wrong error in the computation, number one. Number two, many Gambians, even at that time, did not know, probably you journalists, knew that there was a computation problem. When they were computing, there was a problem. So many Gambians did not even know about it. And this is what they sold at the United Nations, because, But what my ambassadors did not tell me was that, oh, they already liaised with the Senegalese, and the Senegalese have taken up the responsibility of making Jammeh respect this by force.
No, I don't think it happened that way, really. What clearly happened.
The night he announced the nullification of the elections in a way that he did not even explain exactly why, because he did not even mention that.
No, but clearly what he said is that in as much as he doesn't want to cheat anybody, he wouldn't want anybody to cheat him.
Yes.
That is what Jammeh said.
Yes, but then you know what?
Clearly, I mean,
listen,
but you know what?
Flipping. No.
But Jammeh flipping.
No. What I'm saying is,
people that
should not have been the focal argument in that statement. The focal position should have been, look, I agreed to the first results, and I congratulated Barrow. But the IEC has called me and said there are second set of results different from what we computed day one. And I knew that this was a rigged proof. This is what I was telling the world, and errors cannot be allowed. They are not acceptable. But he has shown me that they have made some errors. So how much of errors they have made, we got to look into that. If he had approached it in that way, the world would have known why he said I was going to nullify the the elections. But he did not go and elaborate in that. He came, if you don't cheat, I don't cheat you, blah, blah. But at the UN also, nobody was told that Jammeh challenged this because there were a second set of results. I went to the Russian ambassador. I went to the Kenyan ambassador. I went to the French ambassador. I went to Liberian ambassador. And all of them confessed to me, no, we did not know that there were a second set of results. Because all they tell us was, Jammeh say, wahet. Marco accepton, I'm not going to accept it anymore. No reason whatsoever. That's what I was. And these people, they never told me. In fact, I did not even know that they liaised with the Senegal that night. 9th of December, the night these people was the night for the second. The ambassador, UN ambassador, Senegalese UN ambassador, went to the embassy and asked them whether this is constitutional. They said no. Can you allow us to take it to the Security Council? Yes. They gave him the mandate. He went to the Security Council. But and they said, look, you made
it look so simple, huh?
Oh yeah, that's what happened. That night,
yes.
Because on the 10th yes. was the day they draw the resolution. On the 10th. The night the Jammeh announced it was the 10th the resolution came.
But clearly, he has to step down. Clearly.
But what you guys missed was that yes. the Senegalese seized the narrative from your hands that day. And still today, they are in charge of
no, but the Senegal, well, even if they have their own interest in this whole thing,
yes.
What was also very clear, yes. crystal clear, was the fact that Jammeh was bent on clinging to power, even when he knew he had lost. So that was where the problem lied.
No.
If Jammeh was really, if Jammeh was really sincere
yes.
about him conceding,
yes.
such a trivial.
That's not trivial.
That is very trivial.
That's
to me,
not.
because I have seen. I have seen
errors.
this.
Listen to me.
Yes.
Errors. They cause errors.
So they cause lives.
They cause lives. Errors. They cause planes to crash.
Yes.
Errors. They cause wars.
But there was no crashing of a plane.
No. I'm telling you, errors.
Yes.
You know, depending on how much you want to look at it and how much it affects you. This was the life of a government and the line.
You clearly were never in for this. The fact that the way and manner in which Jammeh was kicked out. That was something that you have always railed against.
Yes. Do you know why I did not allow it? I said, look, when Jammeh, they could have exhausted all peaceful means.
I think that was done.
No, it was not.
I think that was done.
It was not. Because, like, at the time, because when Jammeh nullified it, listen to me, when Jammeh nullified it, some people, brought him in line and told him, you cannot nullify it like that. You take this to the courts. But they said the courts were not operational, all the judges are not here, blah, blah, blah.
In fact, that was caused by him.
Okay, I understand. But
because he didn't want a Supreme Court to
but what I'm trying to say, but
all that he was using it against the opposition.
But what I'm trying to say is that it would have been more logical to me, and safer for ECOWAS to mobilize a team of judges to come and look at what has gone right or wrong in this government or in this election before they go to let's use force. I think that was more reasonable and safer than let's use force. And the UN never allowed force to be used in this country. Never. I saw the resolution. I was there when they told them that, all right, he has to step down, but if force has to be used, if force has to be used, they had to go to the Security Council for endorsement. I was sitting with him when the resolution was done in the Security Council. But Macky Sall was out for the jugular vein of the Gambia because the impression was that the MFDC was in the army. Charles Taylor, I even one time believed it, that the MFDC were in the army. You know, so I was afraid of a war, to start a war. And these guys came for a war. Their commander said it. Francois Ndiaye, they are supposed to turn the country into rubble.
No. The commander's interest in this thing was to capture Jammeh if he refuses to relinquish.
Yes,
that was the instructions that were given to Francois Ndiaye. But not to come and
you know, you are talking from a very lame civilian point of view about armed conflict. You know, the arsenals that Jammeh had at that time, if the army had trained on it the way they were supposed to train on those arsenals and not harbored in bunkers and so on, they would have given a resistance that could have degenerated in a war that would have been dragging up to this day, my friend. Look, they captured Gaddafi. They captured Bagbo. How many lives have been lost? It's only the civilian who thinks you can make a cakewalk in an armed conflict. Just when Charles Taylor was invading Liberia, he thought it was going to take him 3 weeks to go into Liberia and get rid of before they know it, it took almost 8 years. 200,000 lives were lost. You know, only the civilian will only a civilian will look at and say, oh, Francois Ndiaye was going to come in and take him.
Clearly, lives are going to go. I mean, if it got to that, it was going to be.
In 1981, we did not have a good army. We did not have a field force. They had, most of them had what? You know, few SLRs, no RPG, no anti-aircraft gun, nothing. And they came before they rescued Jawara and put him back into over thousands of, I think over 1,000 Gambians have died. The mass graves are there. And up to this day, nobody can even account for who was buried there or who was not. And you're talking about, yes, the credibility of the regime before was better. At least take an account of who died and said, put a plaque there and put their names, like those who died in the attack of the Twin Towers. Their names are there.
I see you are not a big fan of the Jawara regime there. Huh? I see you are not a big fan of the Jawara regime.
No. I am a fan. Lucy, I am just a critic. I have, even in the army, when I was in the army, you see, I did not go to Liberia, but I did not like the position of Senegal, because Senegal was denouncing ECOWAS for intervening in the internal affairs of Liberia at that time. I remember their deputy interior minister came online on radio to denounce the involvement of ECOWAS in Liberia, because ECOMOG was formed in the Gambia, Jawara was the chairman, and they hated Jawara. They denounced him. And guess what? 2 years down the line, Boutros Ghali was the chairman, was the Secretary General of the United Nations. UN. He liaised with Clinton and said Liberia needs the help of Senegal. They called Senegal, Abdou Diouf, we need your help in Senegal. Sorry, in Liberia. And Senegal says, if you equip us, pay us what we want, what you should pay us, we are going in. And they provided them the equipment, the money, the uniform, and they went in. The first week, they wanted to operate on their own. They ran into an ambush. 6 of their soldiers, top notch, they killed them. They withdrew right away and said they were not going to. So, you know, now, and I wrote about that. In fact, I have that paper until now in my room. I wrote about that. condemning Senegal for their hypocrisy in refusing to go to Liberia when West Africans were going in.
And they were dying.
And now, because Boutros Boutros-Ghali and Clinton said go, they went in and died. What kind of Africans are they? I wrote a letter. I was almost dismissed from the army for that letter. The only person who saved me was General Dada. So you know what?
Now back to the impasse. What do you make of the role of our military in it? Because our military at some point, they were out of sorts, really. The military...
No. You see,
the military,
look,
the military Gambians were expecting that our military was going to be on the side of the Gambian people. Our military was going to be on the side of the Gambian people, on the will, the expressed will of the Gambian people in ensuring that Jammeh respected the decision.
No, listen to me. You don't know what was going on.
Of the plebiscite.
I was at the UN, and I was pursuing all means of stopping a war, and that's my reason. I was saying, don't go in. If you go in, it's going to be bloody. It's going to be a bloodbath. Don't go in.
Why didn't you think our army did not act?
Huh?
Our army, you have some that are sitting on the fence. You have some
Listen,
that are hardcore.
I have not finished my statement. Listen to me. If you look at on the 17th of, I think it was 17th of January, or I have the record. It's in my 2017. I was with Sheikh Omar Faye on VOA, interviewed by Shaka Sali on Straight Talk in Africa, and all my argument was to stop the troops from going into the country to start a war, because I thought that the army was ready with all the arsenals I thought they had to continue for a fight, at least for a week, because I was afraid of fighting to start. If it had started, probably the first wave of soldiers who even started it will die, and then the tendency is the criminals and the radical killers will come and take the weapons and continue the fight. That's what you see in Iraq. That's what you see in Libya. That's what you see in all these conflict nations. But bandits and criminals.
The realities are so different.
So listen.
You listen. You would have had a better understanding.
No. It was evolving. It has not gone to where it had exploded out of hand, but it was eventually going into that. My last effort was to call General Jammeh, who was the Deputy Chief of Staff, call Sow, who was the operational commander, General Sow, call Emeba, who was the Minister of Interior, and put it to them categorically that they should never allow the soldiers, even in the barracks, because there could be an accident. I know the Gambian soldier, the way they think. Most of them think they have some Kamasa Junku that if they put it on, bullets will not kill them. And they could come out and the conflict could start. I say, if you can have it, send them home so that there will be no conflict. Don't allow any conflict. And these guys assured me.
But did you talk to them about the fact that they should ask Jammeh to leave? They should join the Gambians in their fight to make sure
listen,
Jammeh leaves.
when you talk about, listen to me, this is why I look at your biasness now, Lamin, because you know what?
No, I'm not being biased.
As much as, what is it? 220,000 Gambians voted
for Jammeh.
No, 220,000 voted for the coalition party. 208,000 voted for Jammeh. They wanted him to stay. 88,000 voted for Mama Kande. We don't know their position. Because Mama Kande now is even regretting why he accepted the IEC to get this. You know, so if you combine Mama Kande and Jammeh, you're not talking about the majority of the Gambians anymore.
Of course.
You're talking about 40% of the Gambians. So don't tell me that why didn't the army go with the majority of the people? This was not the majority of the people.
I'm talking about the winner, not
the
majority.
The winning is questionable.
The coalition.
The winning is questionable. The winning is questionable. Up to this day, people are questioning the winning. In fact, I even said to myself, sometimes I say to myself, was Aliou Mamanjai called about the 5th result so that they can create a chaos and give Senegal the justification to come in? Because when everything was cold and dandy, all of a sudden Mamanjai came and said, Oh, the results, we have a competition problem. And that's what created the crisis. Because as soon as that happened, and Jammeh came out, Senegal took over the whole narrative. And up to this day, they are putting their their knees on our necks. And don't think that this is going to end easily. Senegal has invested a lot.
When finally, the impasse ended, Barrow took over, you were fired.
I wrote a letter. I wrote a letter congratulating him.
Yes, but you were fired nonetheless. As an ambassador. What do you have to say about that? The fact that
I was the first to be fired.
They came, that's
a Guinness World of Rare Record. I was the first. So I was the first fired in the country.
Yes. You were the first to be fired.
I was first. They tell me. So I say, oh, this is a special thing that has never happened to anybody.
Yes.
So that's historical. Yeah, I was fired, but
why do you think the government fired you? The Barrow government fired you?
Yeah, because hey,
they made you the first, first on the list.
Why wouldn't they fire me? I was a nightmare. I was a thorn in their flesh. I was the one speaking everywhere, trying to prevent this invasion of the country. When everybody who thinks Jammeh should die felt Senegal should come and destroy Jammeh, easily come and destroy him, kill him.
But Jammeh also wanted, Jammeh was also wanted to cling to power, and if that happened,
okay.
Do you know that a lot were at stake if Jammeh had stayed? Do you know that?
No, to be honest with you, I said
people will die. People will go to prison.
No.
Do you know that?
No. You are talking like that. I have had.
I was on the ground.
Listen.
I saw what was happening.
Listen. I have had people talk like the only time all these big chest pounding started was when he flew out of this country. But when he was here, all of you had bundled in your corners and wish he had gone, or Senegal came and took him out. Yes. That's what happened. So don't tell me the country was over. No,
but if Jammeh had stayed, if Jammeh had stayed, and if Alpha Condé, he has Alpha Condé to thank.
Was it last year? I was there. Everybody was telling me, 3 years just now, this country is going to burn down, but this is going to happen. Barrow must step down, or they will burn down the country. I say, okay, I'm watching. This is just Gambians talking. It's just like now. Everybody knows that the Senegalese presence in this country is unconstitutional. Nobody is talking about it because they are afraid of challenging it.
No, but clearly, this arrangement was something that the entire region came up with.
That's a joke.
And Gambians,
this was a spontaneous thing. That's a joke.
And Gambians subscribe to it. At least
40%.
At least those that do not support Jammeh.
40%.
The only people that support Jammeh
are
those that are still pushing for Jammeh's continuity.
We're not talking about. I'm not talking about Jammeh's continuity. I have written in one of my first. It's in my articles. It's in my laptop. What I said was the reign of Jammeh, the way he even ruled the Gambia, is a pattern of government that is archaic now. It's a military type of government that is no longer tenable, that's no longer sustainable. We had them in Ghana, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and all that. So, even if Jammeh was to come back today and voted into power, he will not be able to run government because the way he used to run a government can no longer be put into place. Yes. So, but in replacing Jammeh, I want somebody who can take the country to the next level where we will have the democracy we need. We will depend on our own security forces. We will not be listening to Senegal to tell us when to wake up and when to go to bed. We will not have our presidential guard in the hands of Senegalese. And they are playing tricks about economic when the majority of economic forces are Senegalese, with extra 1,200 Senegalese troops brought into this country. France,
but that has to do with the proximity, the nearness.
No.
What is more convenient?
Has it been based on anything agreeable that you can go to?
Exactly. When this thing was being cooked, when it was being arranged, what was agreed was for Senegal to take the front row position in this. That was what was agreed. That was what even led to. That was what even led to Barrow staying in Senegal temporarily, and that was what led to Senegalese being tapped to head the mission.
No.
That was what happened.
No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. What happened was Macky Sall saw it with France as an opportunity to take over the resources of this country because they were yearning for it for a long time. You know that recently they have discovered a lot of deposit of oil in billions of barrels in our offshore.
But clearly, the likes of the likes of Buhari was part and parcel, was in fact where the
Buhari had to come in. Listen,
yes.
Those people had to come in because they were coerced by, they were convinced by Macky Sall to come in and help.
Yes.
Because Jammeh, to some extent, had tread on everybody's toes.
Yes.
Let me put it that way.
Yes.
At one time, Jammeh has angered a lot of people.
Yes.
In fact, when he came to the United Nations, even I raised that up with him.
Yes.
That, you know, I did not like the way he was attacking the gay community at the United Nations because it's full of gay lobbyists who can be undermining his regime. Yes. All the governments that go to the United Nations, the Latin Americans, the Africans, even they all are anti-gay and anti-propagandists.
Do you realize
they
that
don't come? Listen,
Jammeh was someone who said he trusts in Allah. He's the one who he trusts. His trust in Allah is absolute.
Yes.
So for someone like that, that wouldn't be a big deal at all to come and face a group of gay lobbyists, you know.
No. But he was the only president who came and really attacked them seriously in their heart in New York. New York is run by gay community, gay people. So you see, I'm just telling you that when it came to where they said Jammeh must go, there was no country in the world that wanted to look at his good side. Everybody wanted to, like he had a problem with Nigeria when in fact he was executing those 9. Goodluck Jonathan was the president and he begged him not to, but he went ahead and did that. Then you had the Ghanaian issue. Then that the Ghanaians were killed here and there, although he reconciled and, you know, but they were angry with him. I understand he has his personal serious problem with Sadiq Johnson. I don't know what it is, but I read it somewhere. And then, you know, like Macky Sall and Senegal, he also broke the tiniest link of their solidarity when he attacked all of them. Attacked Senghor, in fact, Abdou Diouf, attacked Abdoulaye Wade, and attacked this guy, Macky Sall, one time at Farafenni, you know, in a very derogatory manner. But you see, after that, he had it was very difficult for him to lean on some support at a time of crisis. And this was the opportunity, the crisis opportunity most of these countries were waiting for. And then when it happens, they all went in for it. But even I know of Wole Soyinka, you know, he is really against Jammeh because he, you know, of that witchcraft stuff, you know, those things, you know, he hated Jammeh for that. So, you know, there were writers, there were intellectuals who really went against him because he went to some extremes.
And there was nobody, his friends, his associates, to tell him the truth, to tell him that these things that you are doing is wrong. That is not how to go about things.
Yeah. I mean,
nobody told him the truth.
No, some people I'm so deep. I don't know. Because, you know, like, to be honest with you, when I was in the Gambia, working with Jammeh, I swear to God, every time we will go to his office, when he goes out of line, we will tell him, sir, it's not this way. Let's do it that way. And he will accept it and do it that way. You know, but after, let's say, 22 years of this type of regime, you know, and you survive every type of peril, every type of challenge, you believe in the end that everything you have been doing is right and you could never go wrong. And that is when ultimate power corrupts you ultimately.
So that was what happened to him. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, to some extent, he was too powerful and that power consumed him in the process. Like Jawara, I think after 1981, Jawara should have taken a cue and said from 65 to 1981, let me try and organize free and fair election and walk out of this business of government because it is getting too long. But he stayed.
He continued and then
until 1991.
It boomeranged.
1991, when those two demonstrations happened from the soldiers, those to me, knowing what was happening in the army, those were rehearsals for a coup. 1991, 1992 demonstration from Liberia, because the army hated Jawara at that time.
What do you?
They have their soldiers buried.
What do you make of when the Jammeh, the Barrow administration took over? Some of the very first business on the table has to do with the investigating Jammeh. Some of the sick, really, things that happened when he was leader, he was president. What do you, for example, make of the TRRC?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the TRRC, it could have taken a different form from what it has turned out to be. Like, I would have given to the first day I heard about the TRRC, you know who first came into my mind? Pastor Forbes. I said this should be given to a priest who is apolitical and would judge life and understand it from all different angles. You know, Ghana, they had a TRRC. Rollins killed more people than you. The fraction of what Gambia, it's not even what apartheid South Africa that started it. They had Desmond Tutu, you know, and these people, they approach it for the sake of reconciliation, and they know when they push the limit and when they do not. But when you turn it into what it is here.
What is it here?
It is like, let us just see everything that was evil about Jammeh's regime. Nothing that he has done good is not mentionable here.
But
everybody, listen to me.
Yes.
The Jammeh people, Jammeh killed, we should bring them compensation. But those who were killed during Jammeh's days, you know, and soldiers who were, in fact, sleeping, they wake them up with gunfire, they were running and they massacred them, we should not mention them.
But you have the human rights abuses that occurred during what this investigation is about what his hand put forth, what Jammeh did in terms of his human rights, what him and his government did. That is what is being investigated.
Yeah, because you know what?
You are turning
No, because what I'm trying to explain to you is, the way people run governments is not the way you run Fatu Network. Yes. It's not the way you run Standard News. It's not the way you run a company, construction company. Government is a life and death thing. When you run a government, you are above the ordinary person thinking. You know, all these human rights, sometimes you look at it and they don't make sense. You know why?
It should.
Yeah. You know why? Do you know why? What country in the world is the greatest human rights violators? Is Saudi Arabia really real when you come to human rights? They are the prince of the West because of money. You come to China, look at what they are doing. Putin, Lukashenko of just now.
Ukraine.
No, not Ukraine. Belarus now. He is killing people for demonstration because there was false, the results of their elections were wrong. But you know what? You know, the world has transcended where we got to be bogged down on things that are wasting our time. The TRRC has wasted a lot of resources and time, dramatized things that use. Ghana, they threw away their TRRC.
Why didn't you appear before the commission? Because
they never invited me.
They never invited you?
No, they never invited me. And I heard that people have even asked them, why did you invite Samsar? They say Samsar is not relevant to the TRRC. You know?
They said you are not relevant.
Yeah, they say they are not relevant.
But you are also arrested, and you know.
Yeah, I was. Maybe you know, maybe what I was writing and saying, because I tell you, I look at my arrest and detention, and in hindsight, I say that was the best thing that happened to me, because you know what? The day they were arresting me, I did not know the viciousness in some of the killers who surfaced after my arrest. Those who killed Barrow, those who killed Sey, those who killed Kurosise. I did not know that these were the young men I was looking at as innocents. And the way I was...
And it was Jammeh who was giving these people instructions.
Are you serious? Are you serious?
So you are saying that all the killings that happened, the gunning down of the November 11 soldiers, but led by Sana Sabali, you want to tell me that it wasn't Jammeh who was the head of state at the time?
Listen to me.
Who was behind all of this?
No. I will not. Because, I told you, SOP, first military science 101. Don't take any orders that are illegal. Don't take any orders that are illegal.
Yes.
Jammeh could not have told me to shoot anybody and I say go and shoot that person. Because military science 101. So anybody who tells you I took orders from Jammeh, get him. Because what happened, Jammeh, if he comes and say, I did not know, what would you say? Like Singate even came and said he did not do anything that they have accused him of. These people have done that. Listen, in the beginning, I was there at the State House. Everybody was a boss of his own.
Really?
Everybody.
That was how Jammeh's government was being run.
In the beginning.
Everybody was run.
In the beginning, Sabali was like running his own show with Haidara. Singate was running his own show. Jammeh was trying to survive a very, very delicate situation.
Now let's come back to. I mean, you are not a big fan of TRRT. You said it could have been done differently.
Yes.
Now let us talk about other issues. What we have seen is that when it comes to our sovereignty lying in the hands of foreign troops, you have a problem with that.
Oh, big one.
And you have been writing extensively, an energetic writer at that. Yeah. And you had even said that you could have oriented our army in a way, in a matter of opening your eyes, you could have oriented this army to be able to really take charge of our sovereignty there. But clearly you could see that this army was bastardized. And the reforms, that's what I want you to talk to me about. What do you make of the reforms? Because the reformers, you call them, the security sector reform, you call them hopeless people. Yes. What do you have to say about the reforms?
Okay, before doing that, like the talking about bastardization of the army, yes. I don't believe in that.
You don't believe in that?
No, I don't believe in that. Because
but an army where you have boys, picked, selected, and then there was this elite killing crew. That army clearly is bastardized. An army where you will go and
no,
and then you turn them into killers when that was really not their role.
Now listen, that's not the whole army. That did not reflect the whole army.
But they were taken from the army.
All right, they were taken from army. We know who they are. These people could have been used as examples of tomorrow, that no regime should ever use you again, since we know all of them. But the way they even treated them is mind-boggling, because you grab all these guys, day one, kept them in jail for 3 years, no charges. They did not know, people don't know, they say, hey, junglers. They did not even know what they did. And then one day you met them and say, we are going to bring you to the TRRC and tell us what we want to hear. If you don't tell us what we want to hear, you are going to remain in jail.
Really? Is that how it happened?
Oh yeah, because those who came and said differently from those who did not, those who came and talked to satisfy the TRRC's desires, we are left to go home. And those who came and said, I did not do what they are asked, when they are saying, they are still in jail. What are we talking about? Hello?
I'm afraid we will at some point end this interview and maybe reconvene, come back some other time, because when the Samsar is in the building, clearly the interview would always be a marathon.
Well, this is our first interview. We've never had an interview before.
Yes, this is our I try to manage this time as much as I can, but
it's over.
It's over. But we will leave it there.
Yeah.
We will.
I am ready anytime to come. We can continue this argument. But what I can close my argument is with, look, we could run our country with Senegal's knees off our necks. Organize our armed forces, in such a way that what happened in 1989 to 1994 will not happen. If we get used to economic and Senegalese presence, we will not be able to adjust to their departure the day it happens. And the longer they stay, the more difficult that would be. Take that from me. And if we don't work on it, in fact, even if it is not, if we don't want to accept getting them out to build our own thing, let's work together like in the Confederation. What France is paying them, let's have a percentage of it and pay it to the Gambia Armed Forces. And they work with them so that they learn from them on how to restore what they want in this country, because they are saying they are here to help the transition. What transition? They are here till 2021. And the next thing it will be, let me tell you, oh, you want to see that the election is conducted freely and fairly. And no problem, because people are questioning whether Barrow can win or not. So to me, I think they want Barrow to win. And if Barrow wins, you have nothing to say, but it was free and fair. Because Amadou Mamman Jai will read the results. It was conducted freely and he wins. And we continue, and they're going to stay. That's what I think. Anyway, that's it.
Mr. Sansalin, sir, thank you very much for coming. It was a long interview. We'll have to leave it there, and then maybe some other time we can pick it up from where we are going to leave it off. Thank you for coming. That will do it for today's show. Thank you for being there. We'll be back tomorrow.